Chapter 1632. What is eternal? This question had been in Yi Qinghan's mind for many years, but he had never had an answer. Even when he saw this sinner's ancestor, he could not give a definite answer. What is eternal? The Eternal One muttered to himself and fell into deep thought. It seemed that he did not know what eternal was. What do you think is eternal in the world? The Eternal One asked. Heaven is eternal. Everything else can be destroyed. Yi Qinghan quickly replied. The Eternal One's afterimage pondered again. After a long time, he shook his head and said, wrong. Heaven is not the only eternal existence in the world. For example, even if he can suppress me, he can't kill me. Even if he imprisons me for billions of eras, as long as heaven is not destroyed, I will not die. Then what do you rely on to reach eternal world? How do you circulate your power? Yi Qinghan asked curiously. I rely on my mind, my soul. The Eternal One said faintly, Eternal One, the body can decay, but the soul will not. When you leave the body, perhaps you are eternal. Is there a stronger existence above eternal? Yi Qinghan asked again. The Eternal One pondered for a moment and replied, there are strong and weak eternal ones. It depends on the strength of the soul. No one can surpass a powerful Eternal One, so eternal is the end. Then the person who imprisoned you also did not break through eternal? Yi Qinghan was puzzled. The Eternal One in front of him was ridiculously powerful, so why was he imprisoned? What level did the person who imprisoned him reach? He is still an Eternal One, but he is the first person to become an Eternal One. He also cultivated a group of Eternal One disciples and founded a supreme sect. He is known as the Godmaker. No one dares to resist him, and no one dares to oppose him. Even an Eternal One has to be respectful when speaking to him. As for me, I am not suitable to bow and scrape, so I am here. The Eternal One smiled, as if he was not unwilling. No one can resist. No. If you don't know how to bow, you can stay in the sinner's land. At least you can live freely. Yi Qinghan received a despairing answer. Thank you for clearing my doubts, Senior. This junior will leave now. Yi Qinghan bowed and retreated. Although he had come this time, he had not seen the true body of an eternal. It was a huge regret. The Eternal Sovereign watched as Yi Qinghan left. His eyes flashed and it was unknown what he was thinking. Outside the Tower of Eternity, Yi Qinghan stood at the entrance, pondering whether or not he should let Emperor Yi and Bai Shaoxing reincarnate. According to the Eternal Ones, if they go against the cycle of reincarnation, they will die. Let them enter the cycle of reincarnation. Even if they end up in eternal world, we will still have a chance to find them, the divine bird whispered. Yi Qinghan's eyes began to ache as he gazed at the eternal divine tower that towered into the clouds. Stroking the surface of the eternal divine tower, Yi Qinghan muttered to himself, I'll be back here. With that, Yi Qinghan decided to let Emperor Yi and Bai Shaoxing enter the cycle of reincarnation. Only by letting go could he obtain them. If he brought them back to the bridge of helplessness, he would lose them forever. Send them to the 16th district's reincarnation pool. Yi Qinghan made his final decision. Every district had a reincarnation pool. However, the number of people that could enter the reincarnation pool in the previous districts was too small. Moreover, they could not enter the reincarnation pool with complete soul bodies. There were even fewer blessings that could be bestowed upon those who entered the cycle of reincarnation. Moreover, there was a certain difference in where one would enter the cycle of reincarnation. Every day, a large amount of soul energy would enter the reincarnation pool to recombine and enter the cycle of reincarnation. However, if a complete soul body wanted to enter the reincarnation pool, it would need the city lord's approval and they would have to line up one by one. As for what kind of blessings they would receive, it would be determined by the order of reincarnation. Yi Qinghan was unwilling to go through the proper channels. If the 16th District City Lord did not agree to let Emperor Yi enter the cycle of reincarnation, wouldn't all his previous efforts be wasted? Let's go snatch the reincarnation pool and send them into the cycle of reincarnation first, Yi Qinghan said firmly. After that, Yi Qinghan rushed towards the 16th District City Lord's mansion. The 16th District was huge and there were countless small cities. In each city, there was a small reincarnation pool. However, they could only reincarnate those scattered energies. Complete souls had to be reincarnated in the main city. Swoosh 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 dot swoosh swoosh swoosh. Yi Qinghan's figure flashed. After a few months of dodging the patrols and killing the ferocious beasts, he arrived at the Creator City, which was the closest to the main city. He found that there were many ghosts and deities in this area. Just like humans, they had become special existences in hell. Some of them were even unwilling to enter the cycle of reincarnation. Instead, they devoured the energies in hell and became stronger. These ghosts and deities were no longer the same as when they were alive. They had too much life energy mixed into their bodies. Their minds were chaotic and their desire to kill was especially strong. They would kill at the slightest disagreement. The patrols and the city lord of Reincarnation City would not interfere. Yi Qinghan secretly devoured the energies of a few ghosts and deities. His exhaustion was gone and he rushed towards the main city again. The main city was grand and magnificent. There were 6 huge reincarnation pools in it that controlled the 6 paths of reincarnation. The ghosts and deities wandered around aimlessly. The patrols did not stop them and allowed them to enter the city. Yi Qinghan pretended to be dull and walked towards the inner city. After sneaking into the inner city, he found that the tunnels in the city extended in all directions. However, there were many complete souls being escorted in one direction by the patrols. The 2 sides were heavily guarded. It must be an important place. The land of reincarnation should be in that direction. Go and check it out. Yi Qinghan said secretly. The divine bird observed from Yi Qinghan's shoulder. It seized an opportunity and rushed into the forest. It hid behind the ancient trees and flowers and rushed towards the depths of the forest. No patrols would pay attention to a little bird, let alone think that it was a divine bird with intelligence and memory. Even if they found it, they would not care. The divine bird flew for about an hour without any obstructions. Finally, it found 6 reincarnation pools. However, they were all guarded by a large group of extremely powerful experts. The security was very strict. Complete soul bodies were constantly sent into the reincarnation pools. After half a day of observation, it found that the patrols were very nice to some of the souls. They were all sent into the reincarnation pool in the middle. It was obvious that those who were reincarnated in the reincarnation pool were people with great opportunities. Furthermore, their backgrounds were not small. In the future, they would be reincarnated into a large family in the great world. The divine bird remembered it and quietly retreated. After returning to the city, it found Yi Qinghan. The divine bird had a wretched expression and smiled sinisterly. If I were to reincarnate again, do you think I would be reincarnated into an Eternal's family and be nurtured by an Eternal? Yi Qinghan snorted and said, you can try. If you reincarnate before your time is up, be careful of dying prematurely. Ahem, I'm just saying. Following Master is better than following an Eternal. The divine bird replied affirmatively. Yi Qinghan wandered around the city for half a day. When the sky turned dark, the faint red moonlight scattered and darkened the space. Under the divine bird's lead, Yi Qinghan took the opportunity to rush towards the reincarnation pool. Chapter 1633. The reincarnation pool was guarded by nearly 1,000 high-level patrol envoys. There were even 7 sector lord-level guardians. It was impossible for anyone to get close. The path was filled with patrol envoys. There was a post every 100 meters, guarding the reincarnation pool like an iron bucket. Yi Qinghan took advantage of the darkness to shuttle between the two sides of the path, quickly approaching the reincarnation pool. Fortunately, the defense was lax. The patrol envoys thought that no one would dare to get close, so they did not pay attention. In addition, he was strong enough. No one noticed him when he was less than 100 meters from the reincarnation pool. However, there were so many experts guarding here. It would not be easy to break through the defense and send Emperor Yi and Bai Xiaoxing's souls into the reincarnation pool. How about we lure them away? Yi Qinghan looked at the divine bird and said. The divine bird rolled its eyes and said, "It's not good to leave such an important task to me, is it? No bargaining. I have to stay here and find a chance to send them into the reincarnation pool. If you stay here, even if you lure half of them away, you won't be able to break through the other half." Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. The divine bird was helpless. Its wretched eyes looked around and slowly retreated. It found a safe place and suddenly shouted, "Not good. The city lord is dead." Boom! This scream broke the silence of the 16th district reincarnation city. It was like a sudden clap of thunder, resounding through the clouds. What? The city lord is dead? How is that possible? Who's talking nonsense? The 7 guardians near the reincarnation pool were shocked. They discussed among themselves. The patrol envoys were in an uproar. They did not know what was going on. Someone come quickly. The city lord is dead. The divine bird changed its voice and shouted. Its voice echoed in the area. It seemed to come from outside and attracted the attention of many patrol envoys. The 7 guardians' expressions changed. They looked at each other and said, "Old 3, Old 5, Old 7, you 3 stay here. The rest of you follow me outside to see who's shouting." Whoosh! The leader of the guardians took away 4 guardians and hundreds of patrol envoys. They were searching for the source of the sound. The divine bird kept changing its position and messing up the patrol envoys' defenses. Yi Qinghan watched as the guardian took away half of his forces. He began to slowly move forward, looking for an opportunity. His gaze was fixed on the reincarnation pool in the middle. The reincarnation pool in the middle was guarded by the 3rd guardian. If they wanted to send Emperor Yi and the others in, they had to suppress him. Yi Qinghan clenched his iron fists. His breathing was steady as a long knife appeared in his hand. He suddenly rose from the ground and swept past the patrol envoys on the periphery. He raised his knife and slashed at the guardian on the left. Boom! Swish! The violent blade was like a bolt of lightning that was extremely swift and fierce. It tore through space, and its imposing aura was extremely shocking. Boom! Boom! The guardian on the left hurriedly drew his sword to block, but he was caught off guard and sent flying far away by Yi Qinghan's saber strike. Yi Qinghan slashed out several times as though he was only trying to kill the guardian. Kill! The patrol envoys on the periphery charged at Yi Qinghan, but they could not keep up with his speed. They could only watch as Yi Qinghan chased after the guardian. The 3rd guardian in the middle was immediately alarmed. He drew his sword and slashed at Yi Qinghan. He wanted to surround Yi Qinghan to rescue him, but the distance between him and Yi Qinghan increased. He had no choice but to leave the reincarnation pool. The rightmost guardian also left his post and charged at Yi Qinghan. The 3 of them surrounded Yi Qinghan, suppressing the 9 heavens. They wanted to suppress Yi Qinghan. However, Yi Qinghan's goal was not to kill, but to create a diversion. Swish! Yi Qinghan's figure flashed as he circled around the 3rd guardian and the other patrol, heading straight for the reincarnation pool in the middle. Above the reincarnation pool, a beam of light shot into the sky, containing 7 colors. Those who could enter reincarnation in the reincarnation pool were all wealthy and had extremely high statuses. The order of reincarnation was abnormally strict, and no mistakes were allowed. Yi Qinghan's figure flashed as he swept past from above. He rushed to the reincarnation pool in the middle and sent Emperor Yi and Bai Xiaoxing's souls straight into it. Swish! The reincarnation pool's beam carried the two souls through the stars as it streaked across the sky. Everything was set in stone. Yi Qinghan did not continue the fight as he turned and ran. Not good. He sent two souls into the riches and honor reincarnation pool. The third guardian was enraged as he led the other two guardians in pursuit. Roar! The third guardian's angry roar resounded through the clouds, hoping to alert the four guardians on the periphery. Whoosh! The riches and honor reincarnation pool shone brightly as order was thrown into chaos. It stirred up spacetime, causing the order to change in an earth-shattering manner. What's going on? The guardians on the periphery gave up on searching for the divine bird and charged over with swords in hand. He sent two unknown souls into the riches and honor pool. He caused the order to change. Capture him! The third guardian roared. Whoosh! This was like poking a hornet's nest. The leader of the guardians roared and alarmed the city's defenses. Light shone brightly and shot into the clouds. Yi Qinghan could not be bothered. After sending Emperor Yi and Bai Xiaoxing into the reincarnation pool, he completed his mission and turned to leave. He was so fast that even his shadow was hard to catch. It was impossible for the seven guardians to catch him. If he wanted to escape, no one would be able to catch him except for the soul of an eternal. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! Yi Qinghan transformed into a bolt of lightning and left the region. At this moment, the divine bird had already run to the city gates. Follow me. Yi Qinghan beckoned with his hand and grabbed the divine bird in his palm before rushing towards the city gates. Boom! The city gates were tightly shut as a large number of patrols rushed over, hoping to stop Yi Qinghan in the city. Whoosh whoosh whoosh! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's mad blade swept across, cutting open a path and killing hundreds of patrols. He rushed to the gate and pulled it open with his big hand. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan transformed into a stream of light and flew out of the city. No one could stop him. After a while, Yi Qinghan completely disappeared into the night. However, the 16th district was in an uproar. To enter the riches and honor pool, every quota was fixed and no one could destroy it, not even the city lord. This was because the quota was set by the Eternal of the 18th district. Yi Qinghan had sent two people away at once through the riches and honor reincarnation pool. The light of the 6 reincarnation pools was chaotic and disorderly, which alarmed the city lord of Reincarnation City. What's going on? Who touched the reincarnation pool? A dignified old man roared angrily. This person was the city lord of the 16th district, a supreme existence. Although he was not an eternal, his real strength was definitely comparable to Swan Potion's. Even Swan Potion was not his opponent. There's a group of people of unknown origin shouting outside, the city lord has passed away. I brought a group of people over to investigate, but they actually had people guarding nearby. When we left, they messed up the deployment and sent 2 people's souls into the pool of riches. City Lord, please punish us. The 7 guardian envoys' faces were pale as they explained in fear. Whoosh! The old man's face was gloomy. He took out a reincarnation scripture and gently flipped through it. The path of Emperor Yi and Bai Xiaoxing's reincarnation was displayed. His face changed greatly. Damn it! They've reincarnated and become the children of an eternal. The old man was furious. If it did not involve an eternal, he could make up for it by completely strangling the souls of the 2 people. But they were the children of an eternal, twins. If they were killed in the cradle, an eternal's anger could overturn hell. What should we do? The guardian asked in fear. Chapter 1634. Yi Qinghan had changed the order of reincarnation in the 16th district. Moreover, it was the order set by the Eternal Sovereign. He had caused a great disaster. The 16th district was completely sealed off. The Samsara city lord had issued a kill order of the highest level, to kill without mercy. The 16th district was even bigger than the 9 worlds heaven. However, under the order of the Samsara city lord, all the major entrances were sealed off. He wanted to capture Yi Qinghan and his accomplices. Yi Qinghan hid in the darkness. He didn't take the official road but chose to walk in the ravines. However, he would encounter many ferocious beasts and ferocious ghostly immortals. Some ghostly immortals devoured endless energy and were much stronger than the guardians. However, they devoured too much energy and were filled with negative emotions. They were too murderous and no one dared to provoke them. Most of the souls in the 16th district were overlords of eternal world. After being killed, they were pulled into this place through reincarnation. Their cultivation bases were not weak. Even the weakest of them was a giant god. As they fought each other, ghost gods of the sector lord level could be found everywhere. Yi Qinghan walked between the ravines and cliffs. He wanted to leave the 16th district and return to the 15th district. However, the journey was difficult. In 3 days, he had only walked a few thousand li. How long would it take him to walk in the huge 16th district? Master, let's ask the Eternal Sovereign for help. Let him send us directly back to the 9 worlds heaven. The divine bird suggested helplessly. If he could help, would I still need to send Emperor Yi and Bai Xiaoxing's souls into the reincarnation pool? Yi Qinghan said with a calm expression. Damn, at this speed, it will take us tens of thousands of years to reach the other side of the bridge of helplessness. By then, it will be too late. The divine bird replied unwillingly. It's better to rely on ourselves than on others. There will always be a way. At worst, we can just force our way through. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly. He glanced at the foot of a mountain and saw a black shadow slowly approaching. It was a specter god. It was filled with a sinister killing intent and had a very strong cultivation base. It was unknown how much soul energy it had devoured to form such a powerful specter god. Yi Qinghan licked his lips and clenched his fists. He slowly stood up and said in a low voice, if that's the case, then I'll start devouring these specters and strengthen myself. Yi Qinghan had eternal memories and wisdom. He was different from these ghostly deities. They only devoured energy to force it into their souls. They did not know how to resolve the evil tendencies and negative emotions. However, Yi Qinghan was different. As long as he had time, he could resolve the negative emotions and evil tendencies. Boom! The demon god's sinister eyes looked particularly terrifying under the night sky. His eyes were red, filled with murderous intent and greed. These ghosts and gods were no different from humans. They were just human monsters without much intelligence. Yi Qinghan and the demon god slowly approached each other, their gazes filled with killing intent. Whoosh! Boom! Yi Qinghan transformed into berserk and slashed at the demon god. His speed was as fast as lightning as he attacked from the left. The blade's radiance looked particularly poignant under the red moonlight. The demon god opened his mouth, revealing his sinister fangs. Following which, he transformed into a cloud of smoke that enveloped Yi Qinghan. Screech! The demon god's mournful roar shattered one's eardrums. A slightly weaker soul would not be able to withstand such a roar and would easily faint. However, the demon god had chosen the wrong opponent. Roar! Yi Qinghan roared and gave the demon god a taste of his own medicine. The dragon's roar caused the demon god's soul to dissipate. The energy in his body was already very scattered and had not been completely refined. After such a shock, it collapsed again. Yi Qinghan formed seals with his palms and activated the Yin-Yang mystic record. He rushed up and unleashed a divine radiance that enveloped the dissipating energy and completely imprisoned it. Devour! Yi Qinghan's soul erupted with a terrifying suction force, sucking all the dissipating energy into his body and refining it. Roar, roar, roar. Screeched. The demon god let out a mournful cry and struggled with all his might. However, he could not break free from the yin-yang mystic record's restraint. His soul energy gradually decreased and was constantly devoured by Yi Qinghan. Roar, roar, roar. The demon god begged and roared, but Yi Qinghan had already decided to devour the energy to strengthen himself and forcefully break through. 2 hours later, the demon god's energy was completely digested by Yi Qinghan. A sector lord's soul was absorbed into his soul just like that. Furthermore, all the negative energy was completely purified and became his own energy. After devouring a demon god of the same level, Yi Qinghan's soul had strengthened a little. Although it was only a little, his battle strength had increased by almost 30%. No wonder people want to take shortcuts. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and thought to himself, such a method of leveling up would cause anyone to fall into a demonic state. As the saying goes, greed is like fire and without control, it will start a prairie fire. Desire is like water and without control, it will overflow. If one does not know how to control it, anyone will go crazy. The divine bird asked wretchedly, "Can I devour a human soul energy? If not, help me refine a sector lord bird demon god. I also want to become a sector lord bird." The divine bird could not forget the sector lord level. As long as it could become a sector lord, it was willing to pay any price. Yi Qinghan shook his head and warned, "Although your soul is strong, it is still not at the sector lord level. If I let you devour a sector lord's energy, the one in control will be another life form and you will disappear into nothingness. Then forget it. Pretend I didn't say anything." The divine bird shook its head. After allowing the divine bird to fool around for a while, Yi Qinghan continued to bring the divine bird and began to hunt the demon god. Vicious creatures. Yi Qinghan was incomparably powerful. Whenever he saw a demon god, he would slaughter and devour it. Even vicious creatures could not escape his fate. At this moment, he was like a terrifying life form. Along the way, he killed and escaped. After devouring 3 powerful demon gods, his battle strength almost doubled. However, he was still at the sector lord level. Not far ahead, there was a sentry post. The city tower was built between 2 steep mountains. The cliff was steep and there were no climbing points. If one wanted to pass through this place, they would have to take the official road into the city. Disguise as a soul body. Yi Qinghan muttered. His eyes suddenly glazed over as he slowly approached the city gate. There were patrols everywhere at the city gate. The security was abnormally tight. The sector lord guardian stood on the city gate tower and looked down at the city gate. His eyes were dazed as he stared at Yi Qinghan. He felt that something was amiss. Detain that soul body. The guardian coldly ordered the patrols at the city gate. Yi Qinghan was shocked, but his expression did not change. He thought to himself, could it be that I've been exposed? Probably because your soul is too strong and attracted his attention. Be careful. The divine bird warned. Yi Qinghan slowly walked and approached the city gate. However, at this moment, the city gate suddenly closed, blocking him outside. Swish. 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 More than 10 guards with spears pressed forward. They pointed at Yi Qinghan and berated, "Kneel." Both hands on the ground. Yi Qinghan's eyes were filled with fear. He slowly knelt down, his disguise perfect. At this moment, the sector lord protector jumped down from the 2nd floor and stared at Yi Qinghan with a solemn expression. He took out a rebirth mirror. This was a godly item that could find out where a soul came from. It was a godly item that could find out everything about a soul. Raise your head and look at the mirror. The guardian coldly ordered. Yi Qinghan had never seen the rebirth mirror before, but that did not mean he did not know its effects. However, the city gate was already sealed. It would be difficult to break in. As long as this city could hold him back for an hour, he could forget about escaping. Chapter 1635. Yi Qinghan calmed himself down and didn't take the initiative to attack. Instead, he raised his head and looked at the mirror of reincarnation without any fear in his eyes. Yin and Yang open, reincarnation appear. Hua. The mirror of reincarnation shot out a ray of divine light that enveloped Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's figure appeared in the mirror. Space-time was distorted and the origin of order was revealed. However, it was blurry and couldn't be traced back to its true origin. The guardian frowned as he stared at Yi Qinghan. He didn't see anything wrong. However, the mirror of reincarnation couldn't detect Yi Qinghan's reincarnation origin. This could only mean one thing. The mirror of reincarnation in his hand was too weak while Yi Qinghan's cultivation was too high. A high-level sector lord existence. The guardian was incomparably shocked. It was very difficult for such an existence to die. No matter if it was someone from a small world or an existence from eternal world, the death of such an existence would be reported. At the very least, the reincarnation city lord would know and treat him well. He wouldn't let him wander in hell. Get up. Please follow me into the city. Let me inform the city lord to come. The guardian was much more amiable. He didn't dare to offend such an existence. He bowed and helped Yi Qinghan up. Yi Qinghan's face was expressionless. There was a faint light in his eyes. Fellow Taoist, do you have any memories? The guardian asked in a serious tone. Yi Qinghan shook his head. The confusion in his eyes didn't seem to be an act. He was an emperor who specialized in acting. He could act out whatever he wanted. Then, fellow Taoist, please follow me into the city. Before the city lord arrives, please stay here. Otherwise, it will be difficult for me. The guardian gestured with his hand and the city gate opened again. Yi Qinghan followed the guardian into the city. However, the guardian informed the East Gate guardian and the various experts in the city to strictly monitor Yi Qinghan. As long as there was any strange movement, dozens of experts would instantly rush out from the city. An urgent message was sent to the main city. A large number of experts from the outer regions rushed towards the city. Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and arrived at a courtyard. He discovered that there were many experts watching outside the courtyard. It was difficult to leave the courtyard. His divine sense swept towards the East Gate. If he wanted to leave this place, he could only go through the East Gate. The number of East Gate patrol envoys was 3 times that of the West Gate patrol envoys. There were also 3 guardian envoys. It was impossible for them to leave quietly. They could only force their way through. Once he forced his way through, his identity would be exposed, and they would know who he was trying to capture. In the future, it would be difficult for him to move an inch. As expected of Hell reincarnation, they have so many sector lord level experts. The divine bird felt that it was a pity. It was so smart and intelligent, yet it wasn't a sector lord level existence. The heavens must be blind. Yi Qinghan chuckled and replied coolly, there are countless minor worlds and eternal world. Those who truly die will be reincarnated here. This is just a small place within a small region. Look at the entire 16th district, there are countless world lords. If we were to combine the entire 18th district of Hell, the number of world lords here would definitely not be any weaker than eternal world. Then what should we do? It's impossible to sneak out. We also can't wait for the Samsara city lord to come personally. Otherwise, it would be even harder to escape. The divine bird asked anxiously. Tonight. After saying that, Yi Qinghan retracted his aura as if he had disappeared. He sat in the courtyard and cultivated, refining the soul energy of the ghost deities. The high-ranking patrol envoys guarding the courtyard immediately sensed that Yi Qinghan had disappeared. They quickly notified the guardian envoys. In an instant, the courtyard was surrounded and the gate was forced open. The three guardian envoys rushed into the courtyard. When they saw Yi Qinghan in seclusion, they couldn't help but frown. Yi Qinghan opened his eyes slightly and looked at them with a frown. The guardian envoys couldn't sense Yi Qinghan's presence from outside. However, they could see him when they entered the courtyard. This made them very shocked. "Sorry to disturb you, fellow Taoist. Please help yourself." The guardian envoys awkwardly left the courtyard. Yi Qinghan smiled as he watched them leave. Then, he retracted his aura once again. There were no soul waves or energy waves. Creak. The gate was opened again. Seeing Yi Qinghan sitting motionless in the courtyard, the guardian envoys couldn't help but feel angry. Bang! The gate was closed again. The guardian envoys said coldly, "Watch the surroundings. No one is allowed to rest for the next few days. Keep a close eye on them. Even if a bug comes out of the courtyard, kill it." Yi Qinghan was deliberately challenging their nerves. He wanted to numb them so that it would be easier for him to act at night. Time passed. Under the pale red moonlight, Yi Qinghan evolved a wisp of his soul. It looked exactly like him. Sitting in the courtyard, it emitted faint energy waves. However, he quietly retreated into his room, looking for a chance to leave. There were at least 100 patrol envoys around the courtyard. Their people were everywhere. They didn't even blink. It was difficult to leave under their watchful eyes. However, there were many ancient trees and flowers around the courtyard. Yi Qinghan moved slowly. He retracted his soul energy and didn't release any aura. He kept shuttling through the shadows. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan stood under an ancient tree. He suddenly sped up and entered another courtyard. He was so fast that there was only a trace of him. It was as if his eyes were playing tricks on him. The patrol envoys' eyes trembled. They looked in the direction that Yi Qinghan disappeared and asked the others, "Did you see a shadow pass by just now?" "No. Don't talk. Just keep an eye on the courtyard." Yi Qinghan hid in the darkness. Using stellar transposition, he constantly avoided the patrols of the patrol envoys and approached the east gate. At night, the east gate's defenses didn't relax at all. Instead, they became even more strict. However, there was always a way out. Alone patrol envoys walked along the street towards the city center. As soon as he reached a dark area, Yi Qinghan reached out and grabbed his neck. His soul swept into the patrol envoy's consciousness, destroying and devouring his soul. In no time at all, Yi Qinghan put on the patrol envoy's uniform and walked up the city gate tower. Every level of the city gate tower had a window for observation and attack. Yi Qinghan came near a window and saw several patrol envoys standing by it. They were staring outside intently. A smile appeared on his face. The patrol envoys were whispering about the highest level of assassination order. "This is the first time I've seen such an assassination order. Moreover, they don't even know who they're after. They don't even know how many people they're after. It's really strange. Who says it isn't? Even now, there's no definite information. I just know that it's not just one person. These people are really bold. They actually dared to touch the riches and honor reincarnation pool. They're really courting death." Yi Qinghan hid in the dark and watched them. He was thinking about how to lure this group of people away. The longer he waited, the easier it would be for him to be exposed. At this moment, a ray of light appeared in the sky. The siren wailed and alerted every corner. "Seal all the entrances and exits of the city. Seal all the windows." An angry roar resounded through the sky and echoed in the small city. All the patrol envoys rushed towards the two city gates. The city gate tower's entrance was the first to be sealed. It only allowed people to enter and exit. Chapter 1636. Whoosh! Lights shone in the city. The inspectors were in a mess, inspecting every corner. Their target was Yi Qinghan. Investigate it. If you can't find him, no one can leave the city, including the guardians. With a single order, the city was completely sealed off. Seal the windows and report downstairs. Everyone is a suspect. At this moment, Yi Qinghan walked out and said coldly to the guards at the windows. The guards were stunned and quickly sealed the windows. They had to unlock the runes to open the windows. Those who didn't understand runes couldn't open the seals. The guards quickly left the windows. Yi Qinghan pretended to move to the next window. But as soon as the guards left, he quickly retreated. He operated his soul to the highest state and mastered every mystery of the runes. With a wave of his hand, the runes were unlocked and the windows were opened again. Swish! Yi Qinghan jumped lightly and slid down the city wall. Large searchlight runes kept flashing on the city wall, illuminating the outside of the city as if it was daytime. But there were still traces to be found. Yi Qinghan ran along the tracks of the searchlight runes and quickly rushed out of the range of the searchlight. Whoosh! 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 Yi Qinghan left the city in a few flashes. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan breathed out a few times and finally relaxed. He hid behind a huge rock, identified the direction, and then rushed in the direction of the 15th district. Yi Qinghan's escape caused a great uproar. After all, he was a suspect. The master of Samsara City was alerted. The master of Samsara City led a large number of powerful troops to this place. When he learned that Yi Qinghan had escaped through the window, he went to the window in person and looked into the distance. There was a touch of cold arrogance in his majestic eyes. He said in a low voice, "Seal the north and south of the city. Extend the blockade to the official road and block the official road to the 15th district. In addition, inform the people in the 15th district to help defend the city. He is in this area and can't escape from me." Yes. Master of Samsara City. Some guardian envoys accepted the order and left. The atmosphere in the city was extremely stifling. Even the guardian envoys did not dare to be impudent. The 18th district has issued an order. Anyone who dares to change the order of the Samsara pool of riches and honor will be caught and sent back to the 18th district. He will never be able to rise again. Samsara City Governor said coldly. "Sir, should we capture him alive?" A super existence bowed and asked. "It doesn't matter if he's dead or alive. Even if he's dead, his soul energy can't escape punishment." The master of Samsara City put his hands behind his back and looked in the direction of the window. Then, he pointed to the depths and said, "All guardians are to enter this area, especially the main road leading to District 15. Patrol it strictly. If you see anyone suspicious, kill without mercy." With this order, Yi Qinghan found it even more difficult to move. This vast 16th district was filled with experts. Inspectors, defenders, and soldiers quickly appeared in his line of sight. These sons of bitches, isn't it just 2 more people entering Samsara? What's the big deal? Do they have to deal with us like this? The divine bird said angrily. Yi Qinghan smiled and said in a low voice, "The order of the Samsara pool of riches and honor was set by an immortal. We are not allowed to provoke it. These Samsara City governors are just slaves. How can they not be angry when their master is provoked? An immortal, that's awesome. If only I could become an immortal. Then I could create 2 hells, one for Samsara and the other for fun," the divine bird said wretchedly. Yi Qinghan smiled but didn't say anything. The more dangerous a place was, the safer it would be. Those guardian envoys definitely wouldn't risk their lives just to capture him. At the very least, they wouldn't risk their lives. In this way, he hid in the cave during the day to rest and moved forward at night. On the way, he killed several ghosts and immortals and refined all their energy. His battle strength had reached the peak of the advanced Sector Lord level. At that time, he could step into the peak of Sector Lord level. At that time, he could kill a Sector Lord Guardian with a wave of his hand. However, to break through to the peak of Sector Lord level was easier said than done. According to rough calculations, to advance, he would need to devour at least 10,000 Sector Lord ghosts and immortals. If he wanted to reach the peak of Sector Lord level, he would need the energy of at least 1,000,000 ghosts and immortals. Hell would definitely not allow such an existence to appear because he could already change the order. If someone really devoured 1,000 Sector Lord ghosts and immortals, it would definitely attract the attention of an immortal. No one would interfere if one cultivated to the peak of Sector Lord level. However, this kind of unorthodox method was not allowed by the Samsara order. Yi Qinghan also did not think of devouring ghosts and immortals to advance. He was anxious to return home. This day, Yi Qinghan chose to take the risk and continued to approach the 15th district. In the distance, in a ravine, there was a ghost and immortal full of hostility fighting a ferocious beast. His aura was extremely domineering. He relied entirely on his physical body and his moves were bold and bold. It was actually similar to Yi Qinghan's aura. Boom! A slender mountain peak was broken by the ghost and immortal with a sweep of his leg. The ghost was tall and sturdy and had a dignified expression. However, the redness in his eyes was very dense. His hostility was soaring and destroyed his aura. However, one could tell that he was an indomitable man when he was alive. The ferocious beast had some fear in its eyes and kept retreating. However, the ghost held a short blade and chased after it. After a few slashes, the ferocious beast screamed in agony. Its blood dyed the moon red. The entire ravine was destroyed and turned into a mess. Roar! The ghost roared. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He directly tore the ferocious beast apart and devoured it. His strength increased rapidly. A low-level Sector Lord ghost could be considered a hegemon of a region. Yi Qinghan, who was far away, felt the earth trembling. After confirming the direction, he sped up. An hour later, he entered the ravine. Looking at the saber scars on both sides of the ravine, he simulated the attack route of the ghost and was shocked. Shwa shwa shwa. Yi Qinghan actually simulated the attack route of the ghost and immortal. Broken Dragon Saber Technique. This is the Dragon's Resentment Saber Technique. Yi Qinghan's blood and qi churned. Even his soul was stirred. He didn't expect to see this familiar saber technique after so many years. What? Dragon's Resentment? The divine bird was also shocked. Yi Qinghan had three most important people by his side. Dragon's Resentment, Yan Ao, and Huang Peng. Which one of them wasn't a dragon or phoenix among men? Any one of them was a hegemon of a region. Yes, this is the Dragon's Resentment Saber Technique. However, there are some changes. I'm not sure if it's the Dragon's Resentment or a coincidence. Yi Qinghan narrowed his eyes and stared at the direction of the blood. He quickly rushed over. Xiu xiu xiu. Peng peng peng. Yi Qinghan stepped on the ravine and shuttled through the wilderness like an agile monkey. His eyes were like lightning as he extended his divine sense outwards, searching for the location of the ghost and immortal. The ghost's speed was ultimately slower than Yi Qinghan. It quickly entered the range of Yi Qinghan's divine sense. Yi Qinghan jumped a few times and passed through a mountain ridge. He entered a ravine and blocked the path of a bearded ghost. Chapter 1637. Yi Qinghan's speed was so fast that he appeared in front of the bearded spectre god. Before the bearded spectre god could get a good look at him, the spectre god's dagger tore through space and arrived in front of Yi Qinghan. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan quickly retreated and dodged the sure-kill attack. Thud thud thud. Boom! After Yi Qinghan retreated, the dagger tore through the cliffs on both sides. It was a terrifying sight. Stop! I mean no harm. Yi Qinghan steadied himself and did not attack. However, the bearded demon did not stop. The dagger's aura was like a rainbow as it swung in and out like a dragon soaring into the sky. It was extremely domineering. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Whoosh, the dagger flashes tore through space and slashed around Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan kept dodging and was increasingly certain that this was the dragon ruin saber technique. However, this demon had subconsciously executed it. Although he could not see the face clearly, he was certain that this person was the Dragon of Resentment. Dragon of Resentment. It's me. Yi Qinghan growled as the aura of desolation burst forth and suppressed the Dragon of Resentment. The Dragon of Resentment's aura stagnated. Without memories, he only paused for a moment before the evil aura on his body surged in all directions. Whoosh! Hum! The dagger flashes sliced through the rocks and ancient trees at lightning speed. It had no intention of stopping. Is he the Dragon of Resentment? Why don't I recognize you? The divine bird asked hurriedly. He has devoured too much soul energy and his evil aura is too strong. The negative energy has caused his soul to lose control and enter chi deviation. He needs to completely purify his soul before he can regain some rationality. Yi Qinghan kept dodging as he explained. His eyes were like torches as he searched for an opportunity to attack. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Boom boom boom. The cliffs were constantly sliced apart by the dagger. The Dragon of Resentment's dagger technique was domineering and fierce, forcing Yi Qinghan to retreat. He could not injure the Dragon of Resentment and had to capture him alive. It was extremely difficult. Even with Yi Qinghan's cultivation, he was helpless. It could be seen how much energy the Dragon of Resentment had devoured to become such a powerful demon god. Yi Qinghan constantly changed his position in search of an opportunity to attack. However, his saber technique was flawless. Even though the resentful dragon had no intelligence and was only a ferocious beast that only knew how to attack, it made it impossible to attack. Looks like we can only force our way through. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed with a cold light. He mobilized the Yin-Yang Profound Record and rushed into the air, illuminating the entire canyon with divine light. Boundless heaven and earth, the laws of Yin and Yang. 1 controls heaven and earth, 2 controls Yin and Yang, and 3 controls the myriad. Suppress, boom. The Yin-Yang Profound Record spun rapidly, forming a vortex that enveloped the resentful dragon. Boom. The Yin-Yang Mysterious Record descended like the heavens were descending, suppressing the earth. The resentful dragon was restrained to the point where it couldn't struggle and the earth was collapsing from the pressure. Ka ka ka. The mountain rocks shattered, and a deep abyss appeared under his feet. His leg bones were all twisted. Roar. The Dragon of Resentment growled. Its physical body was extremely strong, and it showed no signs of collapsing. Dragon of Resentment, I'm Desolation. Stop resisting, or your physical body will collapse. Yi Qinghan gritted his teeth and growled. His forehead was dripping with sweat. This move consumed a lot of energy. Even though he had devoured all the energy of more than 10 ghosts, he could only use 30% of its power. He couldn't control it as he wished. Boom boom boom. The mountain rocks under the resentful dragon's feet crumbled and turned into fine powder. Boom. Yi Qinghan didn't want to hurt the resentful dragon. He slammed his palm on the dragon's chest and snatched the saber with his bare hands. Swish. The short saber was snatched away by Yi Qinghan. The resentful dragon couldn't take it anymore and was finally forced to kneel on the ground by the yin-yang profound record, unable to resist. Bang! The resentful dragon knelt on the ground with its arms supporting it. Its bones were almost crushed. Yi Qinghan adjusted his strength and restrained the resentful dragon. He controlled the yin-yang profound record with his soul and pressed his palms on the resentful dragon's head, helping it refine the resentful aura and negative emotions. Boom boom boom. Ah! The resentful dragon let out a miserable cry. If it wasn't for the suppression of the yin-yang profound record, it would have already resisted and killed Yi Qinghan. Black fog appeared above the resentful dragon's head, filled with destruction and slaughter. The ruthless aura spread out and became more and more serious. Yi Qinghan was panting and bleeding from his nose. He was using up more and more energy and his body was getting weaker and weaker. The killing and destruction aura in the resentful dragon's body gradually decreased. The impurities in its soul were rapidly expelled. The resentful aura gradually decreased and its eyes became somewhat empty. After a long time, Yi Qinghan withdrew the yin-yang profound record and weakened the dissipation of the energy. At this moment, the resentful dragon had more or less recovered its consciousness. At least it wasn't like a ferocious beast that only knew how to attack. Now that it had simple thoughts, it raised its head slightly and looked at Yi Qinghan's face. Its breath stagnated and its tightly clenched fists loosened. The resentful dragon was at the realm of Sector Lord. If it had the orthodox cultivation method from the beginning, it would be a powerful guardian and might even be able to control an army. Now that Yi Qinghan had refined its negative energy, its intelligence was rapidly recovering. Hoo. Yi Qinghan panted and finally let go. Although there was still a lot of negative energy and resentful aura in the resentful dragon's body, it was a few hundred times better than before. The muddle-headed resentful dragon finally woke up. It looked at Yi Qinghan in confusion and muttered, "Who are you? You and I were brothers when we were alive." Yi Qinghan reminded in a deep voice. The resentful dragon was still confused. It had stayed in hell for so long without reincarnation. Moreover, it came from the land of sinners. It was very difficult for it to reincarnate. It could only devour the energy in hell and cultivate to the ghost god realm. However, the more it cultivated, the more it lost its consciousness. It was like a wild beast. If it hadn't met Yi Qinghan, it would have sunk forever with no chance of reincarnation. You only need to know that I won't harm you. Yi Qinghan was so excited that his blood and qi were surging. This feeling was even more exciting than obtaining a supreme treasure. It was even happier. Many thanks. I can feel that you won't harm me. The resentful dragon muttered as it frowned in thought. However, it could not recall anything. Most of the time, it was just a subconscious reaction. Stay by my side. I will slowly purge all the negative emotions in your body. Then, I will find an opportunity to send you into reincarnation. Yi Qinghan patted the resentful dragon's shoulder and said solemnly. Reincarnation. Not everyone had the opportunity to reincarnate in the form of a complete soul. One had to have great opportunities and great providence. Yi Qinghan was especially excited to be reunited with his brothers. In just a few days, Yi Qinghan had recovered his strength and expelled all the demonic nature in the resentful dragon's body, allowing him to wake up completely. However, his memories from his previous life had not been restored. At this moment, he was only a soul from back then with a new body. If he was the resentful dragon, then he was. If he was not, then he could not be considered a true resentful dragon. However, to Yi Qinghan, as long as the soul did not change, regardless of the memories, he was still a brother. After the resentful dragon regained his senses, Yi Qinghan thought about it again and decided to separate from him. Otherwise, he would be a burden to the resentful dragon and might not even have a chance to reincarnate. Stay in these dangerous places for 100 years first. Don't devour the energy of those ghosts and deities. When I leave the 16th district, the seal of the 16th district will naturally be lifted. At that time, you can go to the 17th district and find a chance to reincarnate. Perhaps you can join the army first. After you make a contribution, the Samsara City Master will naturally give you some opportunities. Don't ask for riches and honor, just to be reborn as a human. Yi Qinghan reminded him in a low voice. Chapter 1638. Yi Qinghan had no choice but to separate from the Dragon of Resentment. It might be the safest place for Yi Qinghan to stay alone. The Dragon of Resentment looked at Yi Qinghan's back with confusion in its eyes. However, Yi Qinghan didn't give him too much of an explanation. Instead, he left the area a moment later. The night was a little gloomy. Yi Qinghan took advantage of the dark clouds and galloped in hell. He rushed quickly toward the official road. Hell was crisscrossed. The city towers cooperated with each other and blocked the area where Yi Qinghan was. The governor of Samsara City led the army to shrink back step by step, ready to catch a turtle in a jar. There were at least 100 guardians and 2 generals at the entrance of the official road to the 15th district. This was the only way out for Yi Qinghan. As long as this road was blocked, Yi Qinghan could not escape even if he had wings. The governor of Samsara City looked murderous. He was not sure if Yi Qinghan was the one who disrupted the order of the Samsara pool. But he was a suspect after all. If he caught one, he would catch his accomplice. The range was getting smaller and smaller. Yi Qinghan was forced into a dead end. The official road was 300 miles ahead. It was full of soldiers. The governor of Samsara City approached from behind. They were only 10,000 miles away from the official road. For experts, 10,000 miles was just a matter of a moment. There were still 3,000 miles to go to the 15th district. But there were so many experts and soldiers gathered at the entrance. The 15th and 14th districts were also looking for him. It was almost impossible to escape. Think of a way, or it'll be too late. The divine bird reminded him in a frenzy. Yi Qinghan's eyes were like lightning. He stared at the front left. He could not take the official road. If he wanted to escape, he could only go to the tribe at the bottom of the reincarnation cliff. But what was the reincarnation cliff? It was full of hostility. All the negative emotions in hell were gathered in the reincarnation cliff. If hell was a dangerous place, then the reincarnation cliff was definitely a place of no return. Let's go through the bottom of the reincarnation cliff and climb to the 15th district from there, Yi Qinghan said firmly. Whoosh! The divine bird flapped its wings and roared, "You're crazy. Are you crazy? That place is filled with the endless negative emotions of hell. Do you think you are an eternal one? If you run in, you won't be able to escape." Yi Qinghan smiled and asked, "There are hundreds of guardians on the official road. Behind them is the Samsara City Lord himself. There are guardians everywhere. Do you know how many sector lords there are? If I were to walk the reincarnation cliff, I might be able to maintain my original heart and not be invaded by external forces. But when it comes to breaking through, I'm definitely not their match." The divine bird wanted to cry, but no tears came out. It said helplessly, "If I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have followed you to hell. When I met the eternal sovereign, he was useless. He even scared me half to death. Now, we've been forced into a corner. If there's no other way, let's surrender. You touched the samsara pool of riches and honor, and the samsara city governor allowed you to surrender. Besides, you're an accomplice. If they can't spare me, they definitely won't spare you either," Yi Qinghan retorted. The divine bird roared to the sky, "Heavens, please open your eyes. Why am I so unlucky? Shut up. When we reach the reincarnation cliff, maintain your original heart with me. No matter how poisonous things are, as long as my soul is intact, they can't invade it. Yi Qinghan looked at the reincarnation cliff in front of him and rushed over with the divine bird. The reincarnation cliff was bottomless. Although the sides were steep, there were climbing points. It wasn't smooth. Yi Qinghan stood on one side of the reincarnation cliff, looking at the bottom of the cliff. His legs were a little sore. He couldn't fly here. If he fell, he would definitely fall to his death. Even cultivators who weren't afraid of heights would tremble at this moment. The divine bird was terrified. It begged Yi Qinghan several times to reconsider, but it had already made up its mind. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan jumped lightly and grabbed a protrusion on the reincarnation cliff. He kept moving down, and the divine bird kept screaming. Whoosh! 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 In the blink of an eye, he had moved down hundreds of meters. However, he didn't know how deep the reincarnation cliff was. Perhaps ever since the reincarnation cliff was formed, no one had gone down. Even the eternal ones didn't know what was below. Who? 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 Yi Qinghan's breathing stabilized. His speed of descent became slower and slower. It became more and more difficult to find a climbing point because it was pitch black below. Whoosh! With a thought, Yi Qinghan summoned the Yin-Yang Profound Record. With a flash of light, the Yin-Yang Profound Record could actually float in the air. The divine bird was overjoyed and hurriedly said, "Let me see if the Yin-Yang Profound Record can withstand my weight. If it can, we can go to the other side through the Yin-Yang Profound Record." Yi Qinghan was also excited. He didn't expect the Yin-Yang Profound Record to be so special. Go! Yi Qinghan waved his hand and sent the divine bird to the Yin-Yang Profound Record. He found that the Yin-Yang Profound Record didn't show any signs of sinking. It was very stable. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan stepped on the Yin-Yang Profound Record. With a thought, he controlled it to move to the other side. Kakik, the divine bird was terrified. If the Yin-Yang Profound Record fell down halfway, they would be dead. Large beads of cold sweat appeared on Yi Qinghan's forehead. He carefully adjusted his soul to its strongest state. He couldn't be careless at all. The Yin-Yang Profound Record shone brightly in the depths. It was dark at the bottom. Suddenly, a huge gust of wind blew and the Yin-Yang Profound Record swayed. Ah! The divine bird screamed and grabbed Yi Qinghan's clothes in fear. It looked like a whirlpool was surging in the depths. It produced a huge suction force as if it wanted to suck the Yin-Yang Profound Record into the bottom of the cliff. Speed up! The divine bird screamed in fear. Yi Qinghan was covered in cold sweat. His soul had almost merged with the Yin-Yang Profound Record. He wanted to use it to break free from the whirlpool. What the hell is that? The divine bird shouted. Reincarnation Whirlpool. Whoosh! The Yin-Yang Profound Record sped up but the suction force pulled them down. The Yin-Yang Profound Record and the Reincarnation Whirlpool were in a stalemate. The whirlpool was getting bigger and bigger. If this continued, they would be swallowed by the Reincarnation Whirlpool. Whoosh! The Yin-Yang Profound Record's light was getting stronger and stronger. The light rushed out of the restraints and spread into the sky. If the light was a bit bigger, it would definitely alarm the experts of the 16th district. Boom! Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly. He waved his palm downward, wanting to disperse the Reincarnation Whirlpool. However, this attack caused a huge problem. The Reincarnation Whirlpool was like an enraged king. The suction force increased by 100 times and directly tore the Yin-Yang Profound Record apart. Whoosh! Ah! Yi Qinghan also screamed. Dark negative emotions came from below. His sea of consciousness was in chaos as if he had encountered a great calamity. Countless angry roars and shrill screams filled his mind. His soul was almost torn apart. Roar! Roar. Countless ghost-like creatures evolved in his sea of consciousness. They pierced through his soul defense and created illusions. Perhaps this wasn't an illusion at all. It was very real. Yi Qinghan's eyes were also filled with fear and despair. The bottom of the reincarnation cliff couldn't be resisted. Buzz! Suddenly, a destructive hand appeared at the bottom of the reincarnation cliff. It stretched out from the bottom and grabbed at the yin-yang profound record. Chapter 1639. This big hand made people despair, they couldn't resist at all. The big hand was so lifelike that it actually stretched out from the bottom. It was beyond imagination. Damn! Is there a creature at the bottom of the reincarnation cliff? Yi Qinghan exclaimed. Heaven is jealous of heroic talents. I, the divine bird, a genius of a generation, a wise almighty, actually died here. The divine bird was terrified. Its voice was hoarse as it roared towards the sky, Almighty Eternal One, I admire you so much. Save this divine bird. As you wish. The big hand didn't grab the yin-yang profound record, but supported it like a heavenly pillar. It lifted the yin-yang profound record into the air. With a flick of its finger, Yi Qinghan brought the yin-yang profound record to the ground of the 15th district. Bang! Yi Qinghan slammed his butt to the ground. Holding the yin-yang profound record, he looked down. The big hand at the bottom of the cliff dissipated as if it had never appeared. After all, you are my descendant. Seeing that you dared to touch the riches and honor reincarnation pool, I know that you have inherited my spirit. I saved your life, but you will have to rely on yourself in the future. An Eternal One, across a district, with his soul in the Tower of Eternity, could actually interfere with the matters of the reincarnation cliff. One could imagine how terrifying his strength was. An Eternal One was a supreme existence, an existence that couldn't be resisted. Ho ho ho. You scared me to death. The divine bird patted its chest and gasped. Yi Qinghan was also frightened. He was almost finished. At this moment, looking at the abyss of reincarnation cliff, he still had lingering fear. Fortunately, an Eternal One helped me. Yi Qinghan sighed. It's good to have a background. If my old ancestor was an Eternal One, I would definitely be better off than you. The divine bird was very jealous. Its words were filled with jealousy. Yi Qinghan sneered. He was too lazy to say more. Taking advantage of the fact that the group of people didn't know that he had entered the 15th district, it was best to quickly leave the area in front. Shwa! Yi Qinghan turned into a stream of light and rushed towards the main road. The group of people blocked the entrance to the 16th district, so how could they have predicted that he had already left? In order to flee for his life, Yi Qinghan had already put his life on the line. Yi Qinghan used all his strength to move diagonally for thousands of li. More than 10 days later, Yi Qinghan had already traversed half of the 15th district and entered the official road. With the support of the official road, he entered the 14th district in just a few days. Countless inspectors and troops had been stationed on the official road of the 14th district, all in order to wait for Yi Qinghan. Jianmu Emperor personally arrived at the 14th district's official road. Jianmu Jiao stood beside him with a murderous look on her face. Upon arriving at District 14, Yi Qinghan felt that something was amiss. There were no soldiers guarding the entrance, but there was a murderous aura in the air. It was the murderous aura of the army. It was very pure and made people shudder. What's going on in District 14? The divine bird asked, puzzled. Yi Qinghan shook his head and sped forward slowly. When he reached the exit of District 14, he gradually relaxed. But just as he relaxed, a sense of crisis enveloped him. A majestic aura spread out from the depths. It was the aura of someone in a high position who had been cultivating for countless years. It had to be the Samsara city lord. What is Tianmu Emperor doing here? Yi Qinghan was puzzled. He deviated from the official road and came to the top of a mountain. Overlooking the army on the other side, he found Tianmu Emperor leading tens of thousands of troops and hundreds of guardians lying in ambush here. Tianmu Jiao was also beside him. They all looked very embarrassed, as if there was an irreconcilable hatred between them. Yi Qinghan and the divine bird didn't know that Tianmu Xian was already dead. His body had been devoured without leaving a trace. Tianmu Xian was a legitimate son. How could Tianmu Emperor let them go when he died like this? In order to find out what was going on, Yi Qinghan retreated, away from the ambush point, and quickly rushed to a city. The defense of the city tower was obviously stronger than before. Yi Qinghan caught an inspector and asked. Only then did he know that Tianmu Xian had been devoured by a dream beast and would never have a chance to be reincarnated. It's sad that Tianmu Emperor is so angry that he came to the entrance of District 14 to gamble with himself. Yi Qinghan shrugged. Are we going to go from the bottom of the reincarnation cliff again? The divine bird asked in fear. No need. We didn't know that the record of yin and yang could fly on the reincarnation cliff. Now that we know, we can fly over it. I don't think we'll disturb the reincarnation vortex at the bottom of the reincarnation cliff, Yi Qinghan said lightly. What if we do? The divine bird trembled and asked in a muffled voice. Yi Qinghan raised his eyebrows as if he had been reminded. He said, let's experiment on you. After that, Yi Qinghan ran to the reincarnation cliff and activated the record of yin and yang. He directly pressed the divine bird on the record of yin and yang. The divine bird was so angry that it roared. Screw your ancestors. If I die, I won't let you go even if I become a ghost. The divine bird held the record of yin and yang tightly and didn't dare to look up. It was so scared that it almost fainted. It directly broke open and cursed. Whoosh! The record of yin and yang quickly rushed to the other side. It was scary but not dangerous. Yi Qinghan shrugged. With a thought, he threw the divine bird out of the record of yin and yang and summoned it back. He also left District 14 through the record of yin and yang. As soon as he left District 14, he was free to fly. Yi Qinghan rushed all the way, unimpeded. The masters of Samsara City in the 3 districts were all trying to catch Yi Qinghan, but they didn't know that he had already entered District 9 3 months later. District 9 was much smaller than the other districts. It was the place where the experts of the small worlds died. There were not many experts and even fewer sector masters. Yi Qinghan was like a fish in water. 1 month later, he entered District 1. In District 1, Yi Qinghan leisurely walked over with the divine bird in District 1. Go and inform the master that the yin and yang envoys have a message for him. Yi Qinghan said to the inspector outside the city. Whoosh! A large group of inspectors gathered around with fierce faces and scolded angrily, who do you think you are? Do you think the master of the city is someone you can meet whenever you want? Slap! Yi Qinghan slapped him in the face and stepped on one of the inspectors. He said coldly, I can't defeat the Samsara City Governor of District 14 and beyond. But can't I defeat the Samsara City Governor of District 1? There was dead silence at the city gate. A large group of inspectors was stunned and didn't dare to move. Tell him to come out and see me. Yi Qinghan ordered coldly. Yi Qinghan was so arrogant that the inspectors didn't dare to act rashly. A high-level inspector quickly retreated into the city. Soon, a high-level sector master appeared outside the city. He frowned and stared at Yi Qinghan. He said coldly, as a member of the envoy tribe, you should know the order of reincarnation. Why did you break it knowingly? Yi Qinghan said impatiently, cut the crap. I'm here to ask you to inform the city lord of the 16th district that I was the one who moved the riches and honor Samsara pool and that I have already left hell. Tell him to come to the 9-realm sky and find me if he has the ability. What? You're the one who changed the order of the pool of riches and honor. How dare you? The master of Samsara city was shocked. He stared at Yi Qinghan with his eyes wide open. If he didn't know that he was no match for Yi Qinghan, he would have attacked him. Yi Qinghan snorted and turned to leave. He had no choice but to expose himself and provoke the Samsara city governor of the 16th district. If the Samsara city governor of the 16th district searched everywhere and found the dragon of resentment, he would be in big trouble. Chapter 1640. In order to not let the resentful dragon take the risk, Yi Qinghan took the initiative to expose his identity and provoke the 16th district, offending the 15th and 14th districts. Then, he headed straight for the Bridge of Helplessness. When he arrived at the Bridge of Helplessness, he stepped on the small boat and left the other side of the Yellow Spring. His soul comprehended the order and connected with his fleshly body in the 9 worlds. Swish! The yin-yang profound record helped his soul to return to his body, quickly breaking through the order of reincarnation. Time and space reversed. His soul rushed out of the order of reincarnation with the help of the yin-yang profound record and entered the 9 worlds. 9-world sky, divine martial palace. Yen Ao led the army to guard the palace. It was divided into 3 layers of defense. The entire divine martial city was the first layer of defense, the palace was the second layer, and the main hall was the third layer. The second layer of defense was restricted to those who were not from the insane sect. As for the third layer of defense, only the inner sect members of the insane sect could enter. Even Jian Bugue was blocked outside. During these years, other than Yen Ao, the group of inner sect members were all in seclusion in the palace. Many of them were stuck at the peak of the pseudo-world overlord realm. However, they were unable to break through the world overlord realm because the 9-world sky had reached its limit. For several hundred years, Yi Qinghan was in seclusion, and Swan Patian seemed to have disappeared, never to appear again. However, the ocean of nothingness was not peaceful in these years. Huge waves would often rise, and angry roars would fill the sky, causing the 9 worlds to flood, causing all living things to suffer unspeakably. As for that wild ghost, without Yi Qinghan's suppression, he had already left the divine martial city and wreaked havoc in the 9 continents, killing countless experts. Jian Bugue led 2 world overlords to chase after him for so many years but still couldn't find him. Report. The insane sect's branch in the extreme martial region has been uprooted by the wild ghost. All of them are dead. No one survived. Another piece of bad news came and alarmed Yen Ao. During these years, Yen Ao had been guarding the main palace and didn't allow anyone to come close. He was the one who made all the decisions. When he heard this news, a cold light flashed in his eyes. The corner of his mouth rose and his handsome face revealed a cold smile. Wild ghost, you are challenging my patience. If it wasn't for the fact that the desolate lord is in seclusion and I can't leave, I will make sure you die without a burial ground. Yen Ao clenched his fist and slowly stood up. Looking at the map on the city wall, he called over a few pseudo-sector Lord Great Perfection generals and coldly ordered, the 4 of you will each lead 1,000,000 troops to guard Qing Tian City, Qingyang Pass, God of Fortune City and Ocean Border City of Snow God Continent. Leave Snow City in front of Snow God Continent Crazy Sect sub-sect empty and lure the wild ghost man in. As long as he enters Crazy Snow God Continent Crazy Sect sub-sect territory, immediately cooperate with the sub-sect to use the Frost Formation to freeze him and bring him back to Divine Martial City. Yes. Marshal. The 4 generals quickly retreated after receiving the order, each leading 1,000,000 strong soldiers to rush to the 4 major cities of the Snow Divine Province. Just at this moment, a faint pressure was emitted from the imperial palace, shaking everyone's heart. Yen Ao's eyes immediately lit up because this aura was too familiar. Swish! Yen Ao sped all the way and quickly entered the inner palace. The group of people from Crazy Sect had already woken up and their faces were filled with joy. Yi Qinghan was also full of smiles. After all, his harvest from hell reincarnation was not small. Not only did he send Emperor Yi and Bai Shaoxing to the riches and honor reincarnation pool, he also found the resentful dragon and woke it up. With his strength, it was very easy for him to become a guardian. Yan Ao, Huang Peng, I have good news. You will definitely be happy when you know about it. Yi Qinghan smiled. Yan Ao and Huang Peng glanced at each other and raised their brows. Obviously, they didn't expect Yi Qinghan to find the resentful dragon. They asked, "What's the matter?" Yi Qinghan said excitedly, "I found the resentful dragon's soul." Ha ha ha. He has become a ghost god. Although he lost his mind and became a demon, I met him and he has now regained his mind. I sent him to Hell's 17th district to join the army first before reincarnating. If we have the chance to enter Eternal World, we might have a chance to meet again," said Yi Qinghan excitedly. Yan Ao and Huang Peng's pupils shrunk. Then, they laughed wildly. It was rare for people like them to laugh so wantonly. Even the group of people from Crazy Sect couldn't help but laugh. "Pretty good luck, right?" Yi Qinghan said with a grin. "This is not just pretty good luck, it's simply too good. I never thought that we brothers would meet again." Yan Ao and Huang Peng laughed like innocent children. As they laughed, tears flowed out from their eyes. Hua! Suddenly, the divine bird rushed out. Its whole body was trembling as it stared at Yi Qinghan furiously. "This divine bird was almost scared to death by you. This time, you went to hell and saved the little master. You also found your old lover and saved my brother. On the other hand, I didn't get anything. Tell me, how are you going to compensate me?" the divine bird shouted angrily. Yi Qinghan was in a good mood. He teased, "Didn't you also get to meet the eternal sovereign as you always wished?" The divine bird was so angry that its whole body was trembling. Its goal was not to meet the eternal sovereign but to flatter the eternal sovereign and get some benefits. However, it didn't get any benefits. Instead, it was scared out of its wits. This time, it went for wool and came home shorn. Gu Qingyu, Jiang Jingtian, and the others looked at the deflated appearance of the divine bird and laughed. It was very rare for a divine bird to suffer a loss. Yi Qinghan turned his head to look at the familiar faces around him, feeling very excited. He simply sat down and told everyone about the scene of hell's reincarnation. When he reached the most critical point, everyone held their breaths. That was an unknown, dangerous, and mysterious world. After death, everyone would enter another world. There really was a reincarnation cycle, but most people's souls would be reconstructed after death, which was equivalent to the person completely disappearing. Those who could maintain a complete soul body were either too stubborn or too strong in cultivation. Everyone listened with great interest. Yi Qinghan was also in high spirits. When he mentioned the eternal sovereign, even Yan Ao's face was full of expectation. His eyes were wide open. After some reminiscing, everyone calmed down. Yan Ao spoke about the matter of the wild ghost. He was very angry. When Yi Qinghan heard that the wild ghost had brought disaster to the human world, he also blamed himself. After all, this guy left the valley because of him. When his soul left his body, he should have directly suppressed this guy. Bastard, he dares to provoke this father. See how I deal with him. Yi Qinghan angrily smashed the table and suddenly stood up. Boss, at this time, I think we shouldn't look for the wild ghost to settle the account. Instead, we should find a way to kill Swan Patian first. Wild ghost can kill people, but Swan Patian can destroy them. Huang Peng reminded. Yes, boss. I agree with Huang Peng's proposal. Yan Ao immediately seconded. Jiang Jingtian, Gu Qingyu, and the others also expressed their agreement. Swan Patian was too worrisome. If they didn't kill him, they wouldn't be able to calm their hearts. Yi Qinghan thought for a moment, then nodded and said, "That's good. Countless old debts have piled up. It's time to deal with them." Chapter 1641. In the 9 continents, floods soared to the sky and ancient trees pierced through the clouds. Most of the humans did not choose to live in groups because the wild ghost liked to devour a huge city, taking away the spirit chi and life source of all living things. Instead, the experts who lived deep in the mountains were the safest. All the big cities were filled with rubble and ruins. There were very few experts and most of them were ordinary people with high cultivation. Yi Qinghan brought a group of experts and rushed towards the Snow Divine Province. Looking at the ruined cities, he could not help but frown. It's all done by the wild ghost. They eat the essence, blood and life source of humans as food. I have been unable to split myself to deal with them. They are getting stronger and smarter now. That's why they didn't take the bait when I laid down the arrays. Yan Ao explained. It's fine. I left something on them. As long as I see them, I can instantly kill them. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly as he recalled the fire source he left in Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness. If he wanted to kill him, he wouldn't even have the chance to escape. I'm afraid that their intelligence is too high and will eliminate the hidden danger you left behind. This kind of poisonous creature has never been seen before. It actually has the intelligence of a human and can even possess a human body. It can control a half-dead body to fight for it. The strength it can display is actually not any weaker than when the body was alive. We have to be careful. Yan Ao reminded in a low voice. Yi Qinghan nodded and continued moving forward. As he watched the cities turn into analysis, he was unable to suppress the anger in his heart. God Lord! Look, it's the God Lord and his brothers. After a few hundred years, they have finally appeared. O great God Lord! Please save the world. In a ruined city, tens of thousands of people were kneeling and roaring at Yi Qinghan's group. Kacha! Yi Qinghan clenched his fist and did not reply. His eyes flashed coldly as he said, "Seems like I have to deal with the wild ghost first." After speaking, Yi Qinghan spread out his divine sense and merged his soul with the heavens. Snow Divine Province was covered by his divine sense, but he did not find any traces of the wild ghost. Ultimate Martial Province. His divine sense was like light, covering a large area of the ultimate martial province. Every corner of the world could not escape the divine sense's search. Half a day later, Yi Qinghan opened his eyes and looked at the torn danger zone, the most dangerous place. He calmly said, "Found it. Let's go." Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Yi Qinghan led dozens of experts and rushed towards the lacerated danger zone. The wild ghost man was currently tearing apart the danger zone and absorbing the life source of humans. His cultivation base was growing stronger and stronger. After devouring thousands of huge cities and slaughtering countless living beings, he actually reached the middle stage of the Sector Lord realm. Ordinary Sector Lords weren't his match at all. However, just as he was about to refine the life essence, he suddenly opened his terrifying eyes. A sinister smile appeared on his sinister face. He looked up at the figure outside the danger zone and said hoarsely, "Oh. Old friend, long time no see. I thought you were dead." The person who came was Yi Qinghan. In order not to alarm the wild ghost man, he didn't even bring Gu Qingyu and the rest. Seeing the wild ghost man's evil smile, his mouth twitched and he coldly asked, "Seems like you still remember me. Do you still remember what I said to you?" "What?" "I don't remember." "No, I remember. You said that you would help me capture that Swan Patian and let me control his body. Does that still count?" Wild Ogre didn't seem to care and asked in a sinister tone. "Ha ha ha," Yi Qinghan laughed. The cold light in his eyes was even more dazzling as he said, I said that you can't touch the people of the 9 continents. You wanted to devour the life source and energy. I sent you to the eternal world. Unfortunately, you didn't take my words to heart. Let's end our cooperation here. You can die too, however, the wild ghost man sneered in disdain. Huang, if you fall out with me now, I guarantee that you won't be able to bear the consequences. Do you think that you can kill me just by leaving a strand of life source in my sea of consciousness? Remember, humans aren't the only ones with intelligence. Boom. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and summoned Berserk. It tore apart space and earth, splitting mountains and rivers as it charged towards the wild ghost man. Do I need to use such tricks to kill you? With a furious roar, the blade light seemed like it was going to split the world and destroy everything. It was terrifying and tyrannical. Just a strand of blade chi was enough to shatter mountains and crush ancient trees. Boom boom boom. The wild ghost man stamped his feet and the mountain rocks turned into divine weapons that charged towards the berserk blade. It shook space and time, causing the mountains and rivers to change color. Mournful cries could be heard everywhere. Hua! The mountain rocks were shattered by the berserk blade's aura. Berserk blade slashed towards the wild ghost man. The wild ghost man laughed in disdain. He pulled out a divine sword from thin air and slashed towards the berserk blade in Yi Qinghan's hand. Bang. Kacha. The blade and sword collided. In a split second, energy rushed to the heavens. The sound of the collision was like thunder and lightning. Everything within 1,000 miles was shattered. The space vortex tore everything into pieces and disappeared in an instant. Break. The veins on Yi Qinghan's right arm bulged as a terrifying power erupted. Berserk blade was even more ruthless. It directly broke the divine sword in his hand and slashed at the wild ghost man's arm. Puchi. Berserk blade was extremely sharp. Even with Yi Qinghan's strength, it still couldn't cut off the wild ghost man's arm. It was like slashing into sticky water, unable to move an inch. Roar. Roar. The wild ghost man screamed as his body was sent flying. His body had already reached the level of indestructible steel. After being soaked in poison for countless years, it was as hard to destroy as a boundary artifact. However, Berserk Blade's destructive power was even more exaggerated than he had imagined. A strand of energy spread to his limbs and bones, killing the poison. Bang! Yi Qinghan kicked the wild ghost man's chest as he flew backwards. He stomped on the ground, causing the ground to shatter and collapse. The blade swept across, cutting through the heavens and destroying the earth. It went for the wild ghost man's neck, wanting to cut it off in one strike. The wild ghost man was shocked. He reached out with 2 hands to grab Berserk blade. He covered his neck with his arms and shouted in fear, Huang, are you trying to burn the bridge after crossing the river? If you kill me, who will help you deal with Sui Patian? Bang! Puchi! Berserk blade slashed into the wild ghost man's arm. The flesh that was as hard as a boundary artifact was torn apart and even the bones were broken. Roar. The wild ghost man's face was malevolent. He spat out a strand of poison towards Yi Qinghan. Shio shio shio. Yi Qinghan's figure moved and disappeared from his sight. His voice was as loud as a bell as he coldly said, right now, I don't need you to kill Sui Patian. I originally wanted to let you live, but you've repeatedly challenged my bottom line. Since you're not afraid of death, I'll grant you your wish. Fire. Hua. The flames burned the heavens and swallowed the torn land. It wrapped the wild ghost man tightly. The surrounding temperature was raised to 1,000,000 degrees, able to incinerate everything. The wild ghost man screamed miserably in the flames. He continuously begged for mercy. Unfortunately, he had offended Yi Qinghan, an existence that killed without batting an eye. He was even more demonic than a demon. Chapter 1642. The wild ghost man was surrounded by the flames burned the sky, even the danger zone was burned to ashes. Countless rocks were turned into nothingness, even the space storm had to give way. The wild ghost man had never been so miserable, his screams caused the sky to change color. Those who offend me never have a good ending. Yi Qinghan's voice was sinister, using the words of the divine bird, like servant, like master, like master, like master, like spirit pet. Spare me, desolate lord. The wild ghost man screamed and begged, dancing in the flames, his body twisted, the stench filling the sky. Yi Qinghan controlled the flames and trapped the wild ghost man here, he said coldly, now you know how to beg for mercy. Countless people should be like you, kneeling in front of you and begging for mercy, but have you ever spared others? Today, I will let you taste the pain of the 18 levels of hell. 18 levels of hell. Too easy for him, I should let him taste the taste of reincarnation. Cliff, this divine bird has a stomach full of anger, but seeing you in such a miserable state, my mood is much better. The divine bird bared its fangs, its feathers stood up straight as it angrily rebuked. You bastard, desolate lord, I will not let you go even if I become a ghost. The wild ghost man rampaged in the flames, although he was only a middle-level sector lord, his killing power was much more terrifying than a high-level sector lord, especially when normal people found it hard to injure him. Now, facing such a powerful fire source, he could still struggle. I have also comprehended the fire source. The wild ghost man roared, his shrill roar reverberated throughout the 9 continents, causing people to shiver. Then resist, the more you resist, the more excited I will be. Yi Qinghan grinned coldly, as if he was the devil and the wild ghost man was a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Lin Wutian, Gu Qingyu and the others all appeared outside the danger zone, watching Yi Qinghan kill the wild ghost man. They finally let out a sigh of relief. They were really afraid that this guy would become an existence like Swan Patian. The wild ogre people and Yi Qinghan were fighting for the right to control the fire origin. The flames soared into the sky, and the area they covered became wider and wider. It continued to spread in all directions, and countless mountains and rivers were affected. Yen Ao and the others exchanged glances. Then, they spread out and blocked the fire origin at the outermost perimeter. This was merely the aftermath of the fire origin at a distance of 1 million li away. With so many experts dividing and refining the fire origin, it did not cause much damage. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan controlled the source of fire with one thought and controlled yin and yang with the other. The record of yin yang appeared above his head and sent out countless divine lights. The runes turned into divine weapons and attacked the fire continuously. Bang bang bang. Boom. Boom. Wild Ghost's fire domain was pierced through, the flames burned his body. As long as his body was destroyed, the parasitic poison in his body would disappear. Roar. The wild ghoul roared angrily as he sped through the flames. Unfortunately, he couldn't break free from Yi Qinghan's imprisonment and was soon on the verge of death. Although his stinking body was like a world artifact, it could still be refined by the flames. His body continued to disintegrate, and a black skeleton appeared in the flames. Those poisonous creatures were still attached to the bones, and at this moment, they were screaming miserably, causing one's scalp to tingle. Yi Qinghan seemed to have an obsessive-compulsive disorder. He had to refine these poisonous creatures to feel refreshed. His mouth revealed a sinister and cruel smile. With a sudden burst, the temperature of the fire origin became even higher. Even the bones that had been soaked in the poison for countless years were being refined. The bones were melting quickly. Screech! The mournful roar was filled with negative emotions. It was like the deepest part of the reincarnation cliff, causing people to feel despair. Those at the outer perimeter felt as if their bodies were about to explode. They had no choice but to retreat quickly. Burning the heavens. Yi Qinghan roared. A cold light flashed through his eyes, and the cold light in his eyes was as sharp as a knife. Bang! One of his leg bones was burned, making it easier to attack from now on. The poisonous creature's defense was broken, and all of them rushed out of the bones, trying to find a way to survive. Desolate Master! I beg you. Spare my life, I am willing to submit. The poisonous creature had a strong desire to live, and its soul rushed towards Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness. It only hoped that Yi Qinghan would show some mercy, and even if he used it, it would still be able to live. However, Yi Qinghan's killing intent was set, and he did not want to leave this poisonous creature alive, so he increased the burning speed. I have a fatal weakness. As long as you can completely control me, and you will never have to worry about me betraying you. I beg you to be merciful. The wild man still did not want to give up, and screamed for mercy. Yi Qinghan's cold eyes flashed, and he activated the Yin-Yang Profound Record, and said coldly, once you enter the Yin-Yang Profound Record, you will never have the chance to reincarnate. Shwa! The poisonous creature turned into a wisp of poison, and rushed into the Yin-Yang Profound Record. The profound mysteries within could kill it at any time. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and summoned the Yin-Yang Profound Record. With a thought, the fire disappeared, and the entire lacerated extremis became a void, and there was nothing else. Are we really going to let it go? I've never seen such a durable poisonous creature. If it were to enter a person's body, it would be easy for it to control a sector lord. The divine bird looked at Yi Qinghan suspiciously. Leaving this poisonous creature behind was too risky. Yi Qinghan sealed the Yin-Yang Profound Record. He felt that this thing still had some uses, and if he could completely control it, it could be a powerful weapon. Let's try it first. It won't be able to escape from my palm, and if it dares to disobey me again, I will make it regret not dying. Yi Qinghan coldly said. The poisonous creature hidden in the Yin-Yang Profound Record was trembling. It was now truly afraid of Yi Qinghan. He was too vicious, too cold-blooded, and his killing intent was set. Whoever provoked him would be unlucky. Yan Ao and the others surrounded. They all wanted to see what this poisonous creature was, and how could it be so powerful. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and controlled the Yin-Yang Profound Record, forcing out a strand of poisonous creature. This kind of poisonous creature was very small, but there were too many of them. When they gathered together, it was like a cloud of poisonous fog, but it was formed by many tiny creatures. Tell me, what is your fatal weakness? Yi Qinghan coldly asked. Master, we are heart poison insects. We can live in the human heart and control the human body. I am the insect queen mother, only I have the soul and intelligence. Without me, my children will all die instantly. I can control every single heart poison insect. I can make them speak. I can control all living things. As long as you place a restriction on me, millions of heart poison insects will serve you. They will never betray you. The poisonous creature was terrified. It didn't dare to hide anything. Yi Qinghan slowly activated the heart-reading insect queen mother in the Yin-Yang Profound Record. It was the only one that was golden in color, and it was much bigger than the other heart poison insects. The soul fluctuation was indeed from it. It could speak through the other heart poison insects. It was quite mystical. The insect queen mother didn't even have the size of a fingernail, but it had all the vital organs, and most importantly, the strength of its soul was actually stronger than many humans. Interesting. Yi Qinghan smiled. Whoosh! Whoosh! This time, Yi Qinghan didn't just leave a strand of his consciousness in the insect queen mother's soul, he also left a strand of the Yin-Yang Profound Record suppression talisman in its soul. As long as he willed it, no matter where it was, the Yin-Yang Profound Record could kill it in an instant. Chapter 1643. After subduing the insect queen mother, everyone finally heaved a sigh of relief. After subduing the insect queen mother, Yi Qinghan's soul soared into the sky. With the help of the heavenly Tao, he said in a deep voice, the wild ghosts have been killed, all souls have returned to the heart. Just wait for me to suppress Swan Patian, the 9 prefectures will be at peace and enjoy the prosperity of billions of years. As long as I'm alive, no one will dare to cause trouble in the 9 prefectures. Whoosh! Roars of anger and excitement could be heard from the 9 prefectures. Countless living beings' auras merged into one, vast and mighty. A moment later, the 9 prefectures were decorated with lanterns and colored banners. Many people began to migrate back to their main cities and hometowns. The roads were filled with celebration. No matter if they were strong or weak, they were celebrating together. The joyous atmosphere pervaded the air. The 9 prefectures had turned into 9 prefectures. They were all citizens of the same divine nation. There was no longer any racial division. Yi Qinghan and everyone looked at each other with a smile. They held their weapons and stepped into the void ocean together. These years, the void ocean had never been peaceful. Swan Patian must be in this ocean. As long as they could find him, with Yi Qinghan's current strength, he would definitely not lose. With the cooperation of so many experts, he might not be able to escape this time. Dozens of brothers stepped into the joyous rhythm of heaven and earth, covering 1,000 miles with each step. Swan Patian had just refined the origin energy of the 4 heavenly beasts. His cultivation had improved and his strength had increased. Although he was still far from being an eternal sovereign, he had become the strongest person in the realm lord. At this moment, Swan Patian controlled yin and yang to deduce the heavenly fate. However, he couldn't deduce Yi Qinghan's true realm. It was like a cloud of fog, which was quite shocking. Where has he been all these years? He has actually become so strong. Swan Patian was very unwilling. He had devoured the origin energy of the 4 heavenly beasts, but he still couldn't win for sure. This made him a little angry. Fortunately, he didn't know that Yi Qinghan's primordial spirit had left his body and went to hell. Otherwise, he would definitely regret it. This was the best time to kill Yi Qinghan. As long as he could break Yan Ao's formation, he would definitely be able to kill Yi Qinghan. Even the aftermath of the battle could destroy his body. Swish! The 7 copper coins stirred the yin and yang and the 10,000 laws, transforming the 9 continents into the sky. Although they couldn't see Yi Qinghan clearly, they could still see the trajectory of Yan Ao, Gu Qingyu, and the others. The blurry person in the lead was definitely Yi Qinghan. Jian Bugue brought 2 sector lords and met up with Yi Qinghan, heading straight for Void Ocean. With so many experts gathered, 8 world lords, Yi Qinghan, and so many other monsters, the corners of Swan Patian's lips twitched. With a muffled snort, he said, "Huang, this old man truly regrets letting you reincarnate. I never would have thought that the number of experts gathered in this world would be even greater than the Great Desolate Era. One less dragon of resentment, but so many more helpers." Whoosh! Swan Patian exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and coldly said, "You want to take revenge, but you will never have the chance. This seat will have the chance to defeat all of you one by one." After saying this, Swan Patian's figure gradually dissipated, fleeing without a fight. At this level, if one side wanted to escape, no matter how strong Yi Qinghan was, he didn't have much confidence in capturing Swan Patian. At this moment, the void ocean had huge waves. Without the protection of the 4 great heavenly beasts, the flood soared into the sky. The waves were 10,000 zhang tall, smashing the islands and submerging the land and sea. The sea turned into a sea of blood. Corpses and bones were swept up by the waves. Even the sea beasts couldn't withstand the beating of the waves. Yi Qinghan stepped on the void ocean. His aura was like a rainbow, suppressing the void ocean until it was silent. The waves gradually sank. With the power of a thought, he suppressed the void ocean and dispersed the waves with a wave of his hand. Yan Ao and the others were also helping to suppress the void ocean. If the void ocean became violent again, the entire 9 continents might be submerged. With dozens of experts working together, no matter how big the void ocean was, it would still be suppressed. The void ocean slowly calmed down, but Swanpatian didn't appear. It was as if he had disappeared. He isn't in the void ocean. Yen Ao frowned, feeling that something was wrong. Yi Qinghan scanned the surroundings. His soul rushed into the clouds, patrolling the void ocean and the entire 9 continents. However, he didn't find Swan Potion's figure. Purposely avoiding me? Yi Qinghan sneered. Compared to Hell and Eternal World, the 9 provinces continent and the ocean of nothingness were too small. They were just a small region. Not to mention, this place was not like Hell where one's divine sense could cover the entire place without any hindrance. Boundless heaven and earth, borrow yin and yang. Trace the great Tao, reveal the origin. Yi Qinghan formed hand seals with his palms. His soul merged with the heaven and earth. The light of reincarnation shot up to the 9 heavens, wanting to tear Swan Potion's figure out. However, Swanpatian was currently carefully hiding from Yi Qinghan. His whereabouts wouldn't be exposed. Yi Qinghan's cultivation was monstrous, but he couldn't reverse the universe. Just like Swanpatian, he could only deduce the faintly discernible figure. In addition, there was no one beside him, making it even harder to track him down. Yi Qinghan's gaze was like lightning, piercing through the void. A heavenly eye appeared in the sky, sweeping through the myriad Daos. The origin of all things couldn't escape the gaze of this eye. Boom! 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 The heaven and earth rumbled. The sound of nature was grand and majestic, making one's blood boil. Swanpatian, come out and fight. This world is only so big, you can't escape. Yi Qinghan's voice was vast and mighty, rushing towards the 10 continents. His voice resounded through the wilderness, destroying the void, causing the entire 9 continents to rumble. However, Swanpatian didn't want to come out and fight. At least, he didn't want to take the risk now. Therefore, there was no reply. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yen Ao, Gu Qingyu, Huang Peng, Jiang Jingtian, Lin Wutian, Yen Yunbei, Li Feng, Mo Li, Yin Yang Xian Zhe, which one of them wasn't a dragon or phoenix among men. They held divine weapons in their hands and stood behind Yi Qinghan, silently waiting. As long as the enemy appeared, they wouldn't hesitate to rush forward. Who in the world wouldn't be envious of such a lineup, especially Swanpatian? He hated that he didn't have so many people supporting him, but he still didn't understand. Brothers should treat each other with their hearts. There was no need for too many words, but when needed, they would fight with their lives on the line. Yi Qinghan lectured him once, but he couldn't find Swanpatian. He had no choice but to give up. Isn't this lunatic always boasting about being number 1 in the world? What nonsense! Originally, Swanpatian calculated with his fingers and knew that this bastard was running away. He's looking for an opportunity to leave through the world tower. The divine bird said disdainfully. Yi Qinghan's eyebrows twitched. The divine bird was right. The only way to enter the eternal world was through the world tower. The world tower didn't allow people from the land of sinners to enter the eternal world. However, Swanpatian wasn't from the land of sinners. He was from the emissaries branch. He might have a chance to leave. I can't let him leave the eternal world. Otherwise, where am I supposed to find him in the vast eternal world? Yi Qinghan's killing intent soared. His hatred for Swanpatian was higher than the sky and deeper than the sea. He had been toyed with by Swanpatian for several lifetimes. The great wasteland domain was destroyed because of Swanpatian. The primal chaos domain was also destroyed because of Swanpatian. Let's go. Whoosh! 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 Chapter 1644. Peace reigned in the 9 states. All living beings celebrated. Every home was decorated with lanterns and streamers. The main cities regained their vitality. Statues rose from the ground and stood guard outside the cities. The main cities forbade war. This unwritten rule was enforced in all the major cities. No one was allowed to use force in the main cities. Yi Qinghan brought everyone back to the 9 states. He found that the major cities were reconstructing themselves and regaining their vitality. The joyful atmosphere made him feel exceptionally carefree. Many overlords were also full of smiles. Half of the credit for the prosperity and stability of the 9 states came from them. The people believed in them, and the glory came from their hearts. It was better to be feared than to be revered. In the Xinwu city, Yi Qinghan brought everyone back. He gathered the ministers and generals to discuss how to kill Swan Patian. Swan Patian wanted to hide, and ordinary temptations couldn't tempt him. The selection competition for the Yinyang Saint Physique was still ongoing. After hundreds of years, there was still no news of the Yinyang Saint Physique. However, Swan Patian was now in a losing position. He didn't even dare to come out to fight. The Yinyang Saint Physique was dispensable, but this competition could select some young talents to inject new blood into the inner sect of the insane faction. The order of the 9 states gradually stabilized. When the heavenly Tao flourished, so did the world. It wasn't the heavenly Tao that was heartless, but the ruler. If there was a good ruler, the heavenly Tao would naturally be merciful. Everything was progressing slowly. However, Swan Patian was a thorn in everyone's heart. If they couldn't remove him, no one would feel comfortable. All living beings feared him, and Yi Qinghan was even more unwilling. However, before they could eliminate Swan Patian, an accident ignited a raging fire in the 9 states. Everyone was in a state of panic. 1 year later. With the invasion of hell, the souls of hundreds of guardian envoys mysteriously appeared in the 9 realms sky. The 14th District SkyCleanse Emperor personally led a team and appeared near the realm tower. Their appearance attracted Yi Qinghan's attention. The heavens have decreed that the land of sinners, Yi Qinghan, has disrupted the order of reincarnation. His crime is punishable by death. As long as you hand over Yi Qinghan, I will spare your lives. An angry voice rang out, rushing into the depths of the 9 provinces. These were all souls. With the help of the Order of Samsara in Hell and the personal permission of the Master of Samsara City of the 16th District, the order of the 9 worlds was changed so that it could accommodate the souls of so many powerhouses. Their appearance immediately alarmed Yi Qinghan. After all, there were 400 to 500 guardians. That was equivalent to 400 to 500 sector lords. Even if it was just their souls, it was already frightening enough. A bunch of souls want to deal with me? A cold light flashed in Yi Qinghan's eyes as his killing intent flared. He said coldly, "Do you think I won't dare to kill you just because you're a guardian of hell? Soul bodies. My brothers can devour your soul powers and become sector lords. Once we enter eternal world, we will be able to advance to the sector lord stage." The wind and clouds in the sky suddenly changed. Dark clouds rolled, as if it was hell. The gloomy air was heavy. Yan Ao and the others quickly entered the main hall. Don't worry. These guardians do have the battle strength of a sector lord in hell. However, once they enter the mortal world, they will be restricted. Their soul attacks will only be 1/10 of a sector lord's. Their true battle strength is only at the peak of a fake sector lord. With over 400 guardians, we have the confidence to win. Yi Qinghan said indifferently. Yan Ao, lead the army and approach the world tower. Try to control the battlefield near the world tower. Yi Qinghan was very calm. Over 400 guardians were enough to take his life in hell. However, in the 9 provinces, the true master was him and not the guardians. The others announced to the outside that all fake sector lords are to gather outside the divine martial city. With a command, Yi Qinghan quickly left the palace. In order to protect the 9 provinces that finally obtained peace, he didn't use many words to mobilize them. He only said one sentence: God Master is in trouble. All fake sector lords who are willing to help are to gather outside the city. After this sentence was sent out, a moment later, dozens of fake world overlords appeared outside the divine martial city. These were all sect leaders of powerful sects or family heads. At this moment, they were all standing firmly behind Yi Qinghan. We are willing to serve God Master. Those who offend the 9 provinces will be killed no matter how far away they are. An old man who had received Kuang's sect's favor immediately bowed and said, We are willing to serve God Master. It wasn't easy for the 9 provinces to obtain peace. How can we allow them to destroy it? Even if we die in battle today, we won't hesitate. Everyone roared and their aura soared to the 9 heavens. Yi Qinghan was very satisfied. These people had finally woken up. They were no longer in a state of disunity. It was enough to gather the strength of a small world and kill a small portion of Hell's forces. Very good. If you help me, I will definitely not disappoint you. You won't die. Help Yan Ao surround those guardians and leave the rest to me. Yi Qinghan said solemnly. Yes. Everyone replied in unison. They weren't afraid at all. Under Yan Ao's lead, the army quickly moved out and headed straight for the boundary tower. The divine martial region was the central region of the 9 provinces. It was 3 provinces away from the boundary tower. However, the order had been changed. Yan Ao was leading an elite army of only 3 million people. The weakest among them was a giant god at the Great Perfection stage. This was the strongest force in the 9 provinces. 99% of the experts were here. There were close to 100,000 supreme gods. Their speed was very fast. They followed closely behind Yi Qinghan and the others as they charged towards the boundary tower. At this moment, the heavenly cleansing emperor was waiting. However, the guardians were unable to hold back their excitement when they saw the colorful world. They all proposed to charge into the hinterland. Bastard, if we can charge into the hinterland, do you think I would need you to teach me? Although this is the land of sinners, it is still within the cycle of reincarnation. This world may be small, but it is complete. If we charge into the hinterland, how many people's cycle of reincarnation will be changed? Do you want to alarm the eternal sovereign? The heavenly cleansing emperor was filled with murderous intent. However, he still held back his temper. In fact, he did not dare to offend the eternal sovereign. Although the eternal sovereign was imprisoned in the Tower of Eternity, he could kill the Samsara city lord with just a thought. After being reprimanded, no one dared to say anything else. They could only wait patiently. The heavenly cleansing emperor was filled with murderous intent. He could not wait to crush Yi Qinghan. This time, if he did not succeed in killing Yi Qinghan, he might not even have the chance to return to hell. This was because the 16th district Samsara city lord's rank was obviously higher than his. Kill or be killed. Choose one. This was the 16th district Samsara city lord's last sentence to the heavenly cleansing emperor. At this moment, the heavenly cleansing emperor's expression was ferocious. He clenched his iron fists and stared coldly into the distance. He could clearly sense that Yi Qinghan was leading the army over. After a few months, the army set out. They had already entered the 6 beast realms of the past. Both sides could sense each other's aura. The army was duty-bound to turn back. They were divided into 3 large groups and 300 small groups. Like a divine sword, they pierced through the 9 states and headed straight for the boundary tower. Yi Qinghan took the lead and charged forward with his army. Chapter 1645. At the border of the Beast God land. Yan Ao led the troops and began to change the defensive formation even before they reached the boundary tower. Yi Qinghan dispersed the creatures of the beast god land and let them enter the hinterland of the 9 states. The beast god land would definitely become the final battlefield. The heavenly cleansing emperor's might was monstrous. His combat strength in hell was definitely comparable to Yi Qinghan's at his peak. Although he was only a soul at this moment, he was still extremely powerful. He looked down at Yi Qinghan's army with murderous intent. Damn, how dare a bunch of ants go against hell? The Skycleanse Emperor sneered and waved his hand to signal to everyone, spread out. Once the battle begins, leave none of the creatures in this area alive. Leave 10 of your strongest to surround and kill this traitor, Yi Qinghan. Skycleanse Emperor gave the order. More than 400 guardian envoys were powerful enough to fight against millions of elite soldiers. After all, a sector lord was a sector lord. Even if he was in soul form, he was still restricted. The army encircled them from all directions, leaving behind a vast expanse of mountains and rivers as the battlefield. Yi Qinghan stepped into the battlefield through a gap. His eyes were like torches as he glanced at Skycleanse Emperor and the others. Behind Yi Qinghan were Lin Wuqian, Yan Yunbei, Jiang Jingtian, Huang Peng, Gu Qingyu, Li Feng and the other experts of the insane sect, as well as Yin Yang Xuanzi, Jian Bugui and her 2 followers. Tat tat tat. Yi Qinghan's steps were firm and his momentum was strong. He suppressed the power of Skycleanse Emperor and the other guardian envoys. Hell and the small worlds don't interfere with each other. How dare you enforcers come to the human world to enforce the law? How dare you? Yi Qinghan scolded Skycleanse Emperor. Skycleanse Emperor glared at Yi Qinghan and roared, Yi Qinghan, you are the one who has the guts. You entered hell, killed my beloved son, betrayed my daughter, played with the city lords of the 15th and 16th districts, tampered with the order of the pool of riches and honor, provoked hell, and didn't respect the eternal sovereign. Any of these crimes is enough to kill your entire family. If you surrender today, I won't make it difficult for the others. Otherwise, this sinner's land will be filled with blood. Yi Qinghan shook his head and explained calmly, first of all, I didn't kill your son. I left him a way out. But your sky suppressor is useless. 3,000 soldiers couldn't even protect a mischievous son. As for your daughter, I wanted to take her back to the human world and take responsibility for her, but she didn't cherish her. As for playing with the city lords of the 15th and 16th districts, I don't dare to take responsibility for such a groundless crime. I was able to escape from those 2 districts with my ability, not by playing with them. You have a glib tongue. No matter how eloquent you are, you can't escape from the crime of tampering with the order of the pool of riches and honor and provoking the eternal sovereign. The order of the pool of riches and honor was established by the eternal sovereign himself. No one can provoke it. You let 2 strange souls into the pool of riches and honor. The eternal sovereign hasn't said anything about this, but one thing is clear. He wants to take you into the pool of riches and honor to meet the eternal sovereign. Are you going to surrender or wait until this sinner's land is filled with blood? Skycleanse Emperor questioned coldly. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly and calculated with his fingers. He said in a low voice, the eternal sovereign can't give such an order. Otherwise, you would have already killed your way into the hinterland. It's you who are provoking the order of the eternal sovereign. If I kill you today, the eternal sovereign of hell won't care. Whoosh! The army's morale soared and they erupted at the same time. The eternal formation merged with the land of the 9 states. As long as heaven and earth didn't perish, the formation wouldn't fall. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan waved his hand and took out berserk. The great wasteland steel soared into the sky, wanting to suppress the 9 heavens. Whoosh! Yan Yunbei's figure flashed and disappeared, hiding in the void. Lin Wuqian unsheathed his sword and stood to the left of Yi Qinghan. He was like a sword, moving the heart and soul. Even the souls of sector lords were frightened. This is the land of the 9 prefectures, Yi Qinghan's territory. You guardians of hell can't behave atrociously here. I have my own reasons for using the pool of riches and honor, but I have no intention of provoking the order of hell. If you are willing to retreat, I won't make things difficult for you. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving today. Yi Qinghan warned coldly. A small world with an incomplete heaven and a sinner's land. You think too highly of yourself. Boom. SkyClan's emperor took the lead and led 10 experts to charge at Yi Qinghan. All of them were armed with divine weapons. SkyClan's emperor even held the mirror of reincarnation. It could not only cause souls to reincarnate, it could also cause all experts to enter reincarnation. They wouldn't even have a chance to escape. Shwa. The mirror of reincarnation shot out a ray of reincarnation light. A reincarnation whirlpool charged at Yi Qinghan with the order of heaven and earth. Boundless heaven and earth, yin and yang law enforcement. 1 controls heaven and earth, 2 controls yin and yang, 3 controls myriad. Boom boom boom. The yin-yang record appeared out of nowhere. Countless rune weapons tore apart the order of reincarnation and blocked the ray of reincarnation. So you really are from the yin-yang Xian race. As an emissary, knowing the law and breaking it, you can't escape. Kill him. The SkyClan's emperor roared, and the 10 powerful guardian envoys beside him rushed over. Boom. Yi Qinghan's blade was like a storm. His aura soared into the heavens and shook the souls of sector lords so much that they were about to shatter. The rest of you, stay where you are. Reinforce the formation at any time. Yan Ao waved the dragon god flag. Lin Wutian, Jian Bugue, and the rest didn't participate in the battle. They just watched coldly as Yi Qinghan fought with the guardians. Yi Qinghan's frenzied blade was majestic and powerful. Every strike forced the dozen or so guardian envoys to retreat. Their faces were pale and their souls were in a mess, almost disappearing into thin air. The SkyClan's king's expression changed drastically. He suddenly realized that he had underestimated Yi Qinghan and the combat strength of the experts in this small world. The reincarnation realm experts were blocked by the yin-yang record and could not play any role. Looking at the other guardians, there were more than 400 of them. They could not even shake the formation of millions of troops. They could not break through at all, let alone kill them. Looking at the dozens of experts standing behind Yi Qinghan, they didn't interfere at all. If they did, this group of guardian envoys would definitely be defeated. However, what SkyClan's emperor didn't know was that this group of people didn't attack not because they didn't want to, but because they couldn't. This group of people's target wasn't the guardians but Song Patian. Yan Yunbei was hiding in the dark. There weren't any spatial fluctuations. At this moment, even Yi Qinghan didn't know where he was. Boom. 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 Yi Qinghan was like a tiger in a flock of sheep. He used the Great Wastelands Monument, Mad Blade, Yin-Yang Record, and the Stone Sword to deal with hundreds of guardians and SkyClan's emperor. He wasn't at a disadvantage at all. His domineering aura soared into the sky like a war god. I gave you face, but you don't want it. Leave your life behind. Yi Qinghan's aura surged. His body suddenly grew like a giant. The Great Wastelands Monument descended from the sky and combined with the Yin-Yang Record to suppress all the guardians. Chapter 1646. The Great Wastelands Tablet combined with the Yin-Yang Record fell from the sky, crushing the mountains and rivers. Boom! Yan Ao's cooperation was flawless. He mobilized the army to compress the space and reduce Yi Qinghan's unnecessary consumption. He suppressed the souls of the guardians to a small area. Boom! Bang bang bang! The earth bobbed up and down, turning into fine powder. The yin-yang record was like the falling sky, suppressing the guardians led by the heavenly cleansing king. Whoosh! The yin-yang record's divine light soared into the sky. When the pages closed, even the heavenly cleansing king was suppressed inside. Hundreds of hell guardians had come with great momentum, but they had been defeated so quickly. It was truly shocking. Although Swan Padian wasn't here, he could clearly deduce the situation here. He couldn't help but be shocked. What kind of fortune did this Huang obtain? His soul can mobilize 4 great world weapons at the same time. Even the yin-yang record can display such power. Swan Potion's expression turned serious. He was losing confidence in himself. He was actually a bit timid after seeing Yi Qinghan. This was something that had never happened before. A sense of humiliation welled up in his heart. An ant that I can slaughter has actually reached this step. You are my prey. Don't even think about overturning the heavens. Huang, no matter how many reincarnations you have, my 5-finger mountain will be your world. Swan Padian roared coldly. Swan Padian muttered to himself. At this moment, his Tao heart suffered a blow and became even crazier. His eyes were like lightning as he looked towards the world tower. His desire to escape from the 9 continents grew stronger. If he couldn't win, he could only run. Even Swan Padian himself didn't expect the result of not being able to escape. Yi Qinghan was too ruthless. Yi Qinghan suppressed a large number of guardians and wasn't in a hurry to leave. Instead, he entered the world tower alone. However, the tower's reaction was even more intense than before. Please leave this place immediately. Otherwise, I will carry out the will of heaven. A vigorous soul pressure soared into the sky, enough to crush the nerves of a realm lord. It wrapped Yi Qinghan tightly. Yi Qinghan stood on the first floor and looked at the tower's reaction. He couldn't help but raise his head and laugh. What? Is the Supreme Tower guarding the sinner's land afraid of me? Scared? The Realm Pagoda retorted. Although it was really afraid of Yi Qinghan, it didn't want to admit it. Instead, it sneered, this divine pagoda was created by the Supreme Eternal Sovereign to seal off the land of sinners and guard the exit of hell. As long as I don't fall, hell will be safe forever. Do you think I will be scared by a little realm lord? Duh. Yi Qinghan slowly walked up and calmly said, since you're not afraid, why are you afraid of me reaching the top? Boom! Boom! Whoosh! The boundary pagoda shook, and the heavenly might surged. Lightning bolts of heavenly punishment rushed down from the top of the pagoda, becoming extremely majestic. Boom! The ground near the realm tower shook, and the cosmos wall glowed brightly as runes entered the realm tower. Boom! Boom! Ka. Lightning struck Yi Qinghan's body. After breaking through his defenses, it quickly recovered. The realm pagoda wasn't punishing Yi Qinghan, but helping him temper his body. Yi Qinghan's expression didn't change. He allowed his black hair to dance like snakes tearing through space. His steps became firmer, and his deep eyes flashed with a touch of cold arrogance. He said majestically, the heavens have decreed that 9 by 9 return to 1. This order should be changed. In the land of the 9 states, my will is the will of the heavens. Your realm pagoda is in the 9 states, so you have to follow my will. Otherwise, I will tear you apart. How dare you? The realm pagoda roared, and a soul attack blasted from the top of the pagoda, forming a god Buddha. Its golden palm carried the will of heaven and earth and pressed down on Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan twisted his toes, and strength came out from his waist, gathered in his fist, and slammed into the palm of the giant palm. Boom! Boom! Whoosh! Bang! The realm pagoda shook even more. Yi Qinghan took a few steps back, and his feet almost shattered the stairs of the realm pagoda. His black hair flew backward, and his right arm shone with golden light. Dragon blood boiled, and the clothes on his arm were shattered, revealing his steel-like skin. Roar. Boom. The golden palm that rushed from the top of the pagoda was shattered. Qi rushed in all directions, crashed into the realm pagoda, and disappeared. Da. Yi Qinghan was even faster, and stepped onto the 5th floor in the blink of an eye. The divine armor formed by the yin-yang mysterious record flapped, and his fighting spirit crushed the will of the heavens. It's just a pagoda. Do you really think of yourself as a god? Yi Qinghan asked coldly, with a dignified expression. I carry the will of the heavens. To guard the land of sinners. The realm pagoda rebuked, and the soul waves became more intense. What is the will of the heavens? What is sinner? The nature of this continent has changed. Even if our ancestors were sinners, we are no longer sinners. The heavens are not you, and can't distinguish right from wrong. What a joke. Today, I will tear you apart. Yi Qinghan's voice was like a bell, and it rumbled in the realm pagoda. Sinners will always be sinners. Sin can extend into one's bloodline. If one sinners, generations will be sinners. The realm pagoda retorted proudly, bullshit. Yi Qinghan's angry eyes flashed with flames. He waved his hand, and the flames melted into a divine robe to protect his body. He stepped onto the stairs, and his burly body crushed all will. Buzz. Suddenly, a sound burst out from the realm pagoda. It was tragic and mournful, like the sound of Sanskrit. The realm pagoda's Buddha light soared into the sky, and the Sanskrit sound tore at the soul. Evil and negative emotions rushed out from the depths of the soul sea, as if the world was evil beyond redemption. The heavens have decreed that all living things are sinners. Only I, the heavenly Buddha, can purify all living things. Evil creature, you actually want to destroy the great Buddha divine pagoda that I guard in the land of sinners. Today, I will purify you completely. A soul wave carried the will of the heavens, and it suppressed the souls of the people, causing them to involuntarily lose their will. They seemed to be very remorseful, and they cried out in pain. I am sinful. Heavenly Buddha, please purify me. Some people in the army lost their minds, and soon they cried out in pain. The Buddha light soared into the sky, and its range became wider and wider, as if it could really purify the world. Yen Ao and the others had strong souls, and their minds were filled with evil thoughts. Their faces were distorted. Only Lin Wuqian and Yin Yang Xuanzi were not affected. Lin Wuqian was a sharp sword, and his Tao heart was very firm. Yin Yang Xuanzi was yin and yang, so the Buddha light could not affect them for the time being. Lin Wuqian pulled out his sword, and his sword roared. His sword aura tore apart the Buddha light, and he roared, this is the realm pagoda's Sanskrit sound that bewitches people's hearts. Everyone, guard your state of mind, turn your strength to yin and yang, and combine your souls to resist the Sanskrit sound. The people who had lost their minds were awakened by Lin Wuqian's sword, and they looked at the realm pagoda in shock. They did not expect it to be able to destroy the land of the 9 states when it exploded. Yin Yang Xuanzi looked back and saw the Buddha light, accompanied by the life-taking Sanskrit sound, rushing into the depths of the 9 states. The mysteries of yin and yang spontaneously rushed out of his body to protect his heart. A yin-yang meditation mantra surged out of his sea of consciousness, and he said in a crisp voice, everyone, follow my chant. Seal the life-taking Sanskrit sound in the beast god prefecture. We cannot let it enter the hinterland to harm the common people. Yin and yang, the extremity of the heavens. 10,000 laws change, all things change, the heavens change, only my heart is calm. Chapter 1647. The yin-yang meditation mantra reverberated in the air. Millions of people chanted the mantra with yin-yang Xuanzi and fought against the deadly Sanskrit. Inside the boundary tower, Yi Qinghan was shrouded in golden light. The Sanskrit wanted to crush his soul. Buzz. Yi Qinghan's soul buzzed and his eyes blurred. However, he gritted his teeth and guarded his mind. The record of Yin Yang guarded his sea of consciousness and the great wasteland monument protected his golden body. He gradually woke up and his steps became clear. I didn't expect you to be a demon tower. How dare you bewitch people? You deserve to be destroyed. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse as he said angrily. What a joke. I have the fate of Buddha personally bestowed by the heavenly Buddha. I have listened to the Sanskrit for countless years in the heavenly Buddha temple. It can cleanse the world of filth and evil. Sinners will naturally be affected. Die. Soul waves rolled over. Boom. Boom. Yi Qinghan walked step by step to the top of the tower. He sensed the origin of the pagoda and searched for its fatal weakness. When Yi Qinghan entered the 8th level, the realm pagoda finally panicked. It almost used all of its power to suppress Yi Qinghan, but no matter how much the world changed and how dense the lightning of the heavenly punishment was, it was unable to harm his origin. Dong! 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 The boundary tower shot out Buddhist light in all directions. Yi Qinghan's flaming robe was burning, incinerating all attacks. Even the lightning of the heavenly punishment was burned to ashes. The boundary tower resisted Yi Qinghan but could not stop him from moving forward. After half an hour, Yi Qinghan stepped onto the 9th level. The heavens have decreed, 9 by 9 return to 1. A divine light tried to move Yi Qinghan away from the 9th level. However, he did not move at all. He allowed the demon tower to do whatever it wanted. If his heart remained still, the world would move, but his body would not move. The boundary tower was terrified. It did not expect that in just a few hundred years, it could no longer control Yi Qinghan's fate. Yi Qinghan's face was solemn. He stared at the boundary spirit grass at the top of the boundary tower and smiled. He reached out and grabbed the boundary spirit grass in his hand. Screech! Buzzed out a blood-curdling scream came from the realm spirit grass as it blasted towards Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness like a thunderbolt. Boom! The yin-yang profound record blocked this attack outside the sea of consciousness, shaking Yi Qinghan to the point of bleeding from his 7 orifices, but it did not harm his soul. So the boundary spirit grass is the weapon spirit of the demon tower. Yi Qinghan said coldly as he gripped the boundary spirit grass. Yi Qinghan, do you want to alarm an eternal? How dare you harm this divine pagoda, the blessed Buddha temple will not let you off. A furious soul spirit rushed out from the boundary spirit grass and scolded. A fox assuming the majesty of a tiger. The high and mighty eternal ones won't care about a demon tower. They just casually tossed you here. You really think too highly of yourself, Yi Qinghan replied quietly. The realm's soulgrass panicked and struggled desperately, trying to make Yi Qinghan stop. However, it knew better than anyone that if it was the Tower of Eternity, an eternal sovereign would definitely care about it. However, this realm tower was used to guard the land of sinners. Let alone an eternal sovereign, even a major force in eternal world wouldn't care about this minor world. I want to see if the so-called blessed Buddha temple will attack me after I devour your weapon spirit and tear apart your body. Yi Qinghan said coldly and swallowed the boundary spirit grass in one gulp. He sat cross-legged on the top of the tower and wanted to refine the boundary spirit grass to control the land of the 9 prefectures. As long as he completely controlled the land of the 9 prefectures, there would be no place for him to hide. Buzz. The boundary tower shot out a final ray of light and then calmed down. The deadly Sanskrit disappeared. The world was dead silent. Swoosh! The boundary tower soared into the sky and a ray of holy light shot out. It was like the light of ascension. As long as an expert entered the light of ascension, they would be able to fly into the sky and enter the eternal world. Whoosh! A ray of light reacted faster than everyone else. It was Swan Patian, who was hiding in the dark. The moment he entered the holy light, his soul seemed to have been refined. His body shone with divine light and bathed in the holy light. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. However, just as everyone was enraged, countless lightning bolts shot out from the sky and struck Swan Potion's head. Boom boom boom. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. Lightning flashed and lightning flashed. However, only one wave of lightning pierced through the ground. It did not pierce Swan Potion. After that, the holy light became denser and wrapped around Swan Potion. Then, it sucked him away and he disappeared without a trace. Yen Ao and the others were dumbfounded. The change was too fast. They did not even have time to stop it. That should be the place of tribulation in the land of the 9 prefectures. To enter the eternal world, that lightning should be the test. However, he is from the Xian Yin Yang race. There was only one wave of lightning. Yin Yang Xian Zhe said. Gotcha. Yen Ao was furious. Yi Qinghan and Swan Potion had enmity. How could he not have enmity? How many of his brothers had died because of Swan Potion's schemes? Damn it! He actually left the land of the 9 prefectures. Yen Ao and Huang Peng glanced at each other. Their eyes were filled with anger. Everyone felt that it was a pity. However, Heavenly Sovereign and Supreme Overlord glanced at each other. The two of them rushed into the holy light together. The Realm Overlord's speed flashed and they arrived at the place of tribulation. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Roared. Lightning filled the sky. The white lightning was extremely sharp. It directly tore apart space and time. The boundary artifact Divine Sword was shaken by the lightning. After entering the holy light, the two of them regretted it. Because they were not from the eternal world, they had to endure wave after wave of lightning tribulation. The lightning was extremely sharp. Like their boundary artifact, it tore apart their defense. Even their boundary artifact was about to be shattered. The two of them screamed miserably. The lightning directly pierced through their flesh and dyed the sky red. Everyone was dumbfounded. Swan Potion's tribulation was so simple. However, as natives, Heavenly Sovereign and Supreme Overlord actually had to endure such a terrifying lightning tribulation. The destructive power of the lightning tribulation was much stronger than before. The two of them were tortured to the point of hovering between life and death. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The two of them cooperated with each other. When they were beaten to their last breaths, everyone thought that they would fail. However, a ray of holy light quickly teleported the two of them away from the land of the 9 prefectures. Jian Bugue looked at the two of them escaping and heaved a sigh of relief. He felt that it was time for this hatred to dissipate. However, Huang Peng and Yen Ao did not feel the same way. Watching the three of them escape, their killing intent grew even stronger. The three of them, don't even think about leaving. Yen Ao swore. Originally, he wanted to use the 2 boundary overlords to kill Swan Potion. However, Swan Potion had escaped. The two of them had no intention of cooperating. Gu Qingyu and the rest of the insane sect looked at the huge boundary tower rising into the sky. They were very worried about Yi Qinghan's safety in the boundary tower. However, they did not know that Yi Qinghan had already devoured the boundary spirit grass. He had yet to fully control it. Yi Qinghan was rapidly refining the boundary spirit grass. As long as he could control the boundary spirit grass, the entire land of the 9 prefectures would be his domain. Nothing could escape his control. Yi Qinghan's soul was getting stronger and stronger. His divine sense instantly dispersed into a huge continent. This was a huge world in the 9 world heavens. Hua! The beast divine continent was covered. The divine martial continent was covered. The land of the 9 prefectures, including the void ocean and various dangerous lands, had become Yi Qinghan's domain. At this moment it was not an exaggeration to say that he was the creator of the land of the 9 prefectures. Chapter 1648. Above the 9 prefectures, the heavens and earth rumbled incessantly. 10,000 rays of divine light shot out in all directions. The world pagoda fell into silence and was no longer dignified. It was in the palm of Yi Qinghan's hand and could be changed at will. It could be considered a great divine item that surpassed any world weapon, but he did not hesitate to tear it apart. Although the boundary pagoda was not as big as the Tower of Eternity, it was still an existence that surpassed a boundary weapon. Yi Qinghan did not hesitate to dismantle it. Pieces of divine materials appeared before everyone. Although the divine bird had been clamoring to dismantle the boundary pagoda, it felt pity when it saw Yi Qinghan dismantling it. It said unhappily, "You wastrel. If you don't like it, you can give it to me. You actually dismantled it. This is the accumulation of countless years of profound mysteries. It's very precious. It's not mine. It's not convenient to use." Yi Qinghan dismantled the last piece of the pagoda and replied indifferently. The divine bird's eyes lit up when it heard that. It said in a wretched and flattering manner, "My great master, seeing how loyal I am and how I have accompanied you for countless years, please give me some of the materials to refine a boundary weapon and an offensive boundary weapon. I don't have the ability to become a boundary master level divine bird, but with these 2 items, I can still toy with a boundary master." Yi Qinghan shrugged and replied indifferently, "It depends on the situation. If there are any remaining materials, I will consider your request." Gga. He, I knew master wouldn't forget about me. The divine bird was wretched to the extreme. Its wretchedness would never be surpassed by anyone. Yi Qinghan looked at the army in a sorry state. He scanned with his divine sense and found that Swan Patian had actually escaped. He could not help but shake his head. Divine Lord Jingtian and Honorable Supreme have also escaped. Yan Ao reminded in a deep voice. No matter. The monk can run, but the temple can't. They will be executed sooner or later. Yi Qinghan's might soared into the sky. At this moment, he was the mandate of heaven. With a wave of his hand, he could control the myriad Tao and laws. The land of the 9 prefectures was his domain. Within this domain, he was the master. Killing people was only a matter of thought. Jian Bugui saw that the hatred between the 2 sides could not be resolved. He sighed and shook his head. Then, he cupped his fists and said, "Since the 9 states have been settled, I will take my leave. It's a small world, let's talk again in the future." After saying that, Jian Bugui stepped into the holy light. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The divine punishment was like a divine weapon that tore through her defense. However, it couldn't break through her defense of swordsmanship. She unsheathed her sword and even the lightning was destroyed. Yi Qinghan looked at Jian Bugui's back as he left. His fingertips twitched slightly, but he did not stop him. Everyone had their own aspirations. If the 9 states could not accommodate her, then he would let her fly freely. It would also make space for the Kuang sect to have more sector lords. Even if Patian left, Divine Lord Jingtian, Honorable Supreme, and Jian Bugui would have 4 more spots. The Kuang sect would naturally have 4 more spots. Yi Qinghan glanced at the people of the Kuang sect. He realized that there were far more than 4 people who could break through to the realm of the sector lord. Huang Peng, Yan Ao, Jiang Jingtian, Gu Qingyu, Li Feng, Mo Li, and a large number of experts had reached the peak. In addition, there were also the sovereigns of the 9 states. However, if they wanted to break through, there would definitely be a sequence. There were only 4 spots. Huang Peng, Yan Ao, Brother Jingtian, Brother Gu, the 4 of you can break through first. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and looked at the people. Seeing that they were regretful, he said, "Everyone will have a chance. Don't worry. When I forged the divine cauldron to suppress the 9 states' fate and seize the opportunity of the eternal world and the void ocean, there will be at least 10 more spots. Only then did the people reveal a carefree smile. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and suppressed the souls of the four powerful guardians before throwing them to Huangpeng, Yan Ao, Jiang Jingtian, and Gu Qingyu. He said in a serious tone, I have already refined their souls. Just swallow them and fuse with them. Maintain your original heart. Don't let these soul energies without consciousness control you. The four nodded excitedly. Who wouldn't yearn to break through to the realm of the Sector Lord? Even if they entered the eternal world, they would be the backbone of the forces. Yi Qinghan didn't pay attention to their advancement. Instead, he brought all the materials of the World Tower into the immortal Peach Paradise and went straight to the volcano. Hua! Yi Qinghan jumped down and waved his hand to control the strongest experts in the world. He raised flames and burned the divine materials. The materials were indeed supreme treasures. Even with Yi Qinghan's full mental power to refine the divine materials, it took him a few years to melt one piece. The materials of the World Tower slowly melted, 1 piece, 2 pieces. Yi Qinghan's mental power consumption was extremely fast. However, every time it was exhausted, he would swallow a large amount of rare treasures and the guardian's souls. The remnant of the world spirit grass in his body hadn't been refined and was being refined at this moment. After a few hundred years, Yi Qinghan's soul had reached the peak of the Sector Lord realm. In terms of realm, he was the same as Swan Patian. However, the strength of his soul was at least 10 times stronger. His combat power was probably more than 10 times stronger. At this time, he had refined all the materials of the World Tower. Even the liquid metal was still filled with runes and Buddhist light. It was extremely majestic. Hua! Yi Qinghan waved his hand and refined the liquid metal into divine cauldrons. Heavenly Dragon, Phoenix, Qilin, Black Tortoise, White Tiger, White Fun, there were various shapes and each of the divine cauldrons represented different meanings. They symbolized peace, auspiciousness, harvest, love, good health, wisdom. 9 divine cauldrons rose into the sky, emitting a dense divine aura and heavenly might. They carried the will of the heavens and revolved around Yi Qinghan. Runes shot out in all directions. Whoosh! Roar! Yi Qinghan waved his hand and forced 9 drops of blood into the divine cauldrons. The divine cauldron's spiritual energy increased by 30%. Divine light soared into the sky. 9 cauldrons suppressed the 9 states. May the 9 states be blessed with peace and good health. Yi Qinghan's voice was majestic. Every sentence represented a will. Boom boom boom. The 9 divine cauldrons fell into the flames and soared into the sky. They bathed in the water source and quickly recovered to normal temperature. The 9 divine cauldrons' auras soared into the sky. Whoosh! Hua! Yi Qinghan broke open the blessed land and heavenly grotto heaven with the 9 divine pagodas. They each suppressed the 9 regions and formed a heaven-seizing formation. They seized the eternal holy light and the power of the void ocean. They suppressed the void ocean until it was calm and no longer a flood. The 9 states were completely merged. The 9 states were no longer blocked by the boundary river and there would be no distinction between races. Boom boom boom. The 9 divine cauldrons landed in the center of the various states. The entire 9 states was bathed in holy light. Yi Qinghan smiled as he looked at his masterpiece. He was full of joy. The divine bird looked at the 9 divine cauldrons and was drooling. It asked flatteringly, Master, are there any divine materials left? Make me a defensive divine armor and an offensive boundary artifact. Yi Qinghan suddenly remembered the divine bird. He slapped his head and said innocently, I'm really sorry. There are no materials left. After all, these 9 divine cauldrons are related to the lives of the people. You won't destroy the 9 states' aura for your own selfish desires, right? The divine bird glared at him and said through gritted teeth, This divine bird thinks of the people and is merciful. How can I do such a thing? Chapter 1649. The divine bird sounded righteous, but in fact it was so angry that it wanted to piss on Yi Qinghan's head. Yi Qinghan understood and comforted her, "There's still time. We'll definitely find more divine materials. In the future, when we find such divine materials, the first thing I'll do is help you forge a divine robe and offensive divine weapon. You can also decide the weapon's shape and characteristics. That's more like it." The divine bird's anger disappeared and it forgot its unhappiness. The land of the 9 prefectures was being rebuilt in full swing. Order was being established and the emperor was being crowned again. However, the hell was in an uproar. The governor of Samsara city of the 14th district led hundreds of guardians to the land of sinners. Not only did they fail, but they also lost their lives. Even their soul energy was devoured by Yi Qinghan and turned into his own power. The governors of Samsara city of the 15th and 16th districts were furious. The governor of Samsara city of the 15th district led thousands of guardians and tens of thousands of inspectors to enter the land of the 9 prefectures. However, they failed as soon as they reached the bridge of helplessness. The land of the 9 prefectures was suppressed by the 9 divine cauldrons. The hell could no longer interfere with the affairs of the land of the 9 prefectures. People who died of old age or died of old age could still enter the hell. However, the inspectors and guardians of the hell could not take the initiative to arrest them. This piece of news was quickly spread to the rear. In the main palace of the Samsara city of the 16th district. Report. A spy rushed into the main palace of the city. The governor of Samsara city of the 16th district was very dignified. His eyes were even more powerful than Yi Qinghan's. His every move and every word carried a monstrous will that could not be disobeyed. "Speak. Your Excellency, we have a report from the front line. The land of sinners is guarded by something." Even the governor of Samsara city of the 15th district could not enter the land of sinners, let alone bring an army in. "Your Excellency, please tell us." The spy knelt on the ground respectfully and did not dare to raise his head. The governor of Samsara city gave off a cold light. He raised the corner of his mouth and sneered. "A puny human world dares to challenge my supreme hell's reincarnation order. And now, you're using a supreme treasure to seal the sinner's land? Ridiculous. If hell wants to capture someone, who dares to stop it?" The governor of Samsara city scolded angrily. He smashed the sandalwood table with his palm and said coldly, "See Commandery, from today on, you will be in charge of the 16th district. I will go to the land of sinners personally and arrest them." Swish. As soon as the Samsara city governor finished speaking, his figure slowly dissipated. However, his real body had already left the main city. The master of Samsara city of the 16th district was surnamed Wang, and his name was Haotian. He had been an expert for many years, and now he was the master of Samsara city of the 16th district. In terms of cultivation, there were less than 10 people in the whole hell who could defeat him. Of course, there was one eternal warrior of hell, and the master of Samsara city of the 17th district was also stronger than him. The rest of the eternal warriors of hell lived in seclusion in the 18th district. They could even go in and out of hell freely. They were all eternal warriors of hell who had made their names through fighting and were taken in as subordinates. Any one of them could defeat a small region. Wang Haotian held the mirror of samsara in his hand, which could make a small world enter the reincarnation cycle. His fighting strength was monstrous. At this moment, he was galloping on the official road, covering millions of miles in a flash. 3 months later, he entered the Bridge of Helplessness of the 1st District. The hurricane on the Bridge of Helplessness blew his white robe, and his killing intent soared to the sky. However, he stepped onto the other side of the yellow spring. His hair was white, and his eyes were like lightning. He looked around and found the master of Samsara city of the 15th district, Shui Feng. Shui Feng also noticed Wang Haotian's arrival. He hurried to greet him and explained helplessly, "Lord Haotian, I don't know why the land of sinners blocked the reincarnation order. We can't even enter the land of sinners with our souls, let alone bring our flesh and blood there. What should we do now, Lord Haotian? Wang Haotian's mouth twitched coldly. He was full of killing intent. The hell wind was raging, and even the inspector couldn't withstand it. A small world's expert dares to provoke me. Today, I will personally go and take him down. Wang Haotian waved his hand and the moon appeared. The reddish world was even more terrifying, and the reincarnation order could be seen clearly. Whoosh! The mirror of samsara in Wang Haotian's hand soared into the sky, trying to tear apart the shackles and break through the seal of the 9 divine cauldrons. At the same time, the 9 divine cauldrons in the various divine lands of the 9 continents soared into the sky at the same time, forming an inescapable net. They formed many small formations, but they were connected to each other. They desperately pressed down, but the destructive force from the order made the 9 divine cauldrons roar. Hum. Hum. The roars were deafening. The scene was extremely terrifying, and the aura soared into the sky. Yi Qinghan was suddenly awakened from his seclusion. He looked blankly at the divine cauldrons in the sky. They were using the power of heaven and earth to suppress the 9 continents, but an inexplicable force rushed into the sky, and the formation could be destroyed at any time. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Hum.8 figures rushed out from the main cities of the 9 continents, heading straight for the 8 divine cauldrons. Jiang Jingtian, Gu Qingyu, Lin Wutian, Huang Peng, Yan Ao, Yan Yunbei, Yin Yang Xian Race, Li Feng, the 8 realm lords were now the sovereigns of the 8 continents. Each of them oversaw a continent, and at this moment, they were doing their best to suppress the divine cauldrons, trying to maintain the formation. Yi Qinghan soared into the sky and rushed to the divine cauldron of the divine martial continent. He sealed the sky with his palm and pressed the dragon cauldron into the ground. Boundless heaven and earth, borrow the power of Yin Yang. Seal. Whoosh! The Yin Yang Xian record soared into the sky, and the floating light scattered to every corner of the 9 continents, assisting the sovereigns in suppressing the 9 continents. Boom boom boom. The first divine cauldron was pressed back into the ground, followed by the second, the third. After a while, the 9 cauldrons all returned to their positions, and the 9 continents regained its peace. Boom! Bang! Near the bridge of helplessness, Wang Haotian crashed into the ground, and the mirror of samsara fell from the sky. Thud thud thud, Wang Haotian kept retreating, and his face was pale. His eyes were bloodshot, and he was extremely unwilling. It was impossible and unrealistic for him to fight against the 9 sovereigns of the 9 continents by himself. Even if his original body came to the 9 continents, he might not even be able to defeat Yi Qinghan, not to mention crossing over to enforce the law. Supreme Venerable, should we join forces? The reincarnation city lord of the 15th district was shocked. He did not expect that even Wang Haotian with the mirror of samsara could not open the passage. Could it be that this sinner's land would become a forbidden area in hell? Wang Haotian's face was cold. He shook his head and replied in a hoarse voice, "No need. Even with you, we can't open the passage. Yi Qinghan's strength is beyond my imagination." He dismantled the divine tower in the 9 realms and built 9 divine cauldrons, which sealed the 9 lands and formed the great array of sealing and luck seizing. It could have sealed the 9 realms, and now with the 9 experts joining forces, it seems that I have to ask the Supreme Venerable of the 17th district to help. The reincarnation city lord of the 15th district was shocked. Someone who could make Wang Haotian, a Supreme Venerable, was definitely a terrifying existence. If they did not alarm the eternal sovereigns, they might have to ask the Supreme Venerable of the 18th district for help. Chapter 1650. Hell was making a big fuss. It seemed like they wouldn't stop until they achieved their goal. Yi Qinghan felt immense pressure. There were many experts in hell. After all, so many people had died in countless worlds. So many experts had gathered. Even experts at the pinnacle of sector lords could be found everywhere. It was Yi Qinghan's turn to panic. The divine bird cursed. Why are these bastards so serious? We're already back. Do they still want to go back and fight? They really can't afford to lose. The divine bird cursed. Yi Qinghan didn't expect hell to be serious this time. It must be the 16th District Samsara City Master who could almost destroy the 9 divine cauldrons' defensive array. If they didn't succeed this time, would they ask for help from the 17th or 18th districts? Hiss. Hiss. Yi Qinghan took a few deep breaths. His divine sense swept across the 9 divine cauldrons. It was true that these cauldrons could protect the 9 prefectures. It could also stop the 16th District Samsara City Masters. However, the 17th and 16th District Samsara City Masters might not be able to stop them. They thought that there were no more external enemies. They didn't expect to attract an even stronger enemy. All troops at the Lord God level and above, please guard the cauldrons. Don't leave as you wish. Yi Qinghan made use of the heavenly Tao. His voice was like thunder. In the land of the 9 prefectures, the army was mobilized. Countless experts took the initiative to approach the 9 divine cauldrons. They sat beside the cauldrons and cultivated. Yi Qinghan sat beside the cauldrons outside the divine martial city. He frowned. He racked his brains but couldn't find a way to completely seal the 9 prefectures. Although the 9 divine cauldrons were powerful, they couldn't stop true experts. Unless there were 9 more of these cauldrons, they might be able to completely seal off hell. Boom! The Great Wasteland Tablet was sealed in the center of the 9 prefectures. Together with the cauldrons, it was the eye of the array. As long as it wasn't broken, there was still a chance. Hum! The stone sword was also activated. Following closely behind, crazed gravity inserted it around the cauldrons. Whoosh! The yin-yang profound record landed on the divine cauldron and divine light shot out in all directions. Yi Qinghan leaped into the void and looked down at the land of the 9 continents. It was vast and boundless, and the sky was blue as if it had been washed. However, in the deepest part of the 9 continents, dark clouds covered the sky, and there was always a trace of destructive aura. This indicated that the 9 continents were still dangerous and could be destroyed at any time. After thinking for a while, Yi Qinghan still felt uneasy. He looked at the tall mountains and waved his hand to form a seal. Limitless heaven and earth, borrow yin and yang. Move the mountains and change the universe, transform into an immortal dragon, suppress the heavens and suppress the earth, suppress the 9 continents. Whoosh! A mountain range rose from the ground and rushed towards the dragon cauldron at the center of the 9 continents. The dragon's vein was like a divine dragon that rushed into the clouds. The dragon's body stretched out endlessly, surrounding the 9 continents and suppressing the 9 divine cauldrons. Whoosh! A heaven-reaching long river ran through the east and west, converging into the void ocean. The long river flowed around the dragon vein. As long as the dragon vein was immortal, the long river would not stop flowing. Boom! Roared. The dragon vein raised its head and seemed to be roaring. Its aura was like a rainbow and its domineering aura soared into the sky. Looking down from the sky, the dragon vein and the long river were like 2 dragons that coiled around the 9 continents. No one knew where they went and where they ended. This was the first time such a miracle had happened since the creation of the world. The divine cauldrons were pressed into the dragon vein. Zhongquang and the stone sword guarded the 2 sides of the dragon cauldrons. Whoosh! Whoosh whoosh whoosh! Yi Qinghan summoned the mysterious record of yin-yang and it shone with a divine radiance. The army guarded the dragon vein. Tens of millions of soldiers were scattered across the 9 continents. At this moment, they were full of confidence. However, Yi Qinghan's eyes were twitching. At this moment, his face was pale and he was exhausted. Such a miracle had consumed a large amount of his mental energy. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. He stepped onto the head of the dragon vein and looked down at all beings. In the past, no one was the god of creation. But now, in the 9 continents, Yi Qinghan was the only god. He controlled the heavenly Tao and he could summon the wind and rain with a wave of his hand, reversing yin and yang. Just when everyone thought that the 9 continents could finally be peaceful, the dragon vein trembled as if there was an earthquake. The entire 9 continents was shaking. Huge waves surged into the sky and the long river surged. They attacked the dragon vein and the overlord's faces turned pale. Yi Qinghan sat on the dragon's head. He put his palms together and used his lifetime strength to guard the dragon vein. The emperor of the 9 continents also sat cross-legged on the dragon vein. He inserted his divine weapon into the dragon vein to guard the 9 continents and fight to the death with hell. In hell, the Samsara city master of the 17th district and Wang Haotian of the 16th district held the mirror of Samsara and attacked the order. They wanted to kill their way into the human world. However, they could not break through the dragon vein and send the 9 divine cauldrons flying. Boom boom boom. The frequency of the tremors became weaker and weaker until it finally calmed down. Yi Qinghan finally heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that hell would not come again in a short period of time. 9 emperors, I will give you 10,000 years to establish your own sects and guard the 9 divine cauldrons. Warn the world to guard the divine cauldrons forever and never let the divine cauldrons leave their positions. Yi Qinghan's voice was vast and majestic, resounding through the sky. Yan Ao established the war god sect in the Central Azure province and passed down his life's work. Gu Qingyu established the solitary sword Dao and set up the solitary sword Dao mountain in the Snow God province. Lin Wutian established the sword sect in the Beast God province and guarded the entrance of the eternal world. Yan Yun established the Supreme World-Piercing Organization in the Northern Supreme Province. Huang Peng established the Great Peng Mountain in the Ultimate Martial Province and taught thousands of beasts. Li Feng established the True Martial Temple in the True Martial Province. Yin Yang Xianzai established the Yin Yang family in the Great Desolate Province and carried forward the last inheritance of the Yin Yang Xian race. Jiang Jingtian established the Chaotic Mountain in the Primal Chaos Province and the Sky-Piercing Spear Array to guard the Primal Chaos Cauldron. Yi Qinghan personally established the Insane Sect's headquarters in the Divine Martial Province to guard the Dragon Cauldron and the Dragon Vein. The various divine sects and Taoist sects were developing like a raging fire. The experts were not stingy and even competed with each other. They all wanted to build their own sect into the strongest and largest force. In terms of combat strength, there was not much difference between them, so they had to rely on their disciples to fight for face. Lin Wutian was the only junior. He kept a low profile and rarely let his disciples fight for hegemony. However, his sword sect was not to be underestimated. Yi Qinghan saw the rise of sects one after another, so he made the 9 great sects the Tao Mountain the Holy Land, forming the 9 Holy Lands. The Holy Lands controlled the 9 great provinces, but they could not interfere with the conflicts between the major sects and clans in the provinces and allowed them to develop. The 9 great realm lords built their own worlds into blessed lands and grotto heavens, all of which became an extension of the 9 great provinces, making the 9 great provinces even more majestic and magnificent. The blessed lands and grotto heavens guarded the dragon vein and developed their own spiritual chi, making the dragon vein stronger and stronger. After 10,000 years of development, it finally developed into an unshakable divine dragon. Heaven and earth were immortal, and the dragon vein was immortal. In 10,000 years, hell launched several attacks, but they did not break the formation. Yi Qinghan's change of the reincarnation pool of riches and honor finally alarmed the eternal sovereign of hell. Order Wang Haotian to capture him and bring him back to the 18th district to see me. The eternal sovereign of hell only issued this order and then fell into a deep sleep. Wang Haotian's spirit was about to collapse. In the past 10,000 years, in order to break through the dragon vein and rush into the land of the 9 great provinces, he spent endless energy and seemed to have aged many years. Now the eternal sovereign said that if he still could not capture Yi Qinghan, his cultivation would be destroyed and he might not even be able to keep his life. At this moment, Wang Haotian was not the only one who was under pressure. The Lord of the 17th District, Cloud Sky High Venerable, was also under pressure. Cloud Sky High Venerable was Wang Haotian's superior. If the subordinate did not enforce the law, the superior would also be guilty. Now the eternal sovereign said that if Wang Haotian was punished, he would not be able to escape. At this moment, the 17th District, Reincarnation City, was no different from the human world. It was very prosperous, but at this moment, the main city was gloomy, which made the heroes tremble with fear. Wang Haotian personally came to the 17th District, bowed and begged, "Please save this lowly one, Your Highness. This subordinate is truly powerless. Now that the land of sinners has been completely sealed off, I really have no way to enter the 9 worlds, let alone capture Yi Qinghan. Please, Your Highness, help me." Chapter 1651. 10,000 years had passed, but the situation of the 9 prefectures had changed rapidly. Yi Qinghan had set up the Great Heaven-seizing formation and the support of the 9 great realm lords' powerful worlds. The 9 prefectures had become increasingly powerful, and the Great Formation was effective. The number of realm lords that could be accommodated had far exceeded 8. The fortune of the Void Ocean had been snatched away and the fortune of Eternal World had also been snatched away. After 10,000 years, a total of 13 cultivators had appeared in the 9 provinces. Adding the previous 9 cultivators into the mix, there was a total of 21 experts. The 21 sector lords were guarding the dragon veins and the 9 divine cauldrons. Now, they didn't have to worry about sneak attacks from hell. The situation had changed. Looking at Wang Haotian's pleading face, the 17th District Exalted Venerable Cloud Sky felt annoyed. "Is a small world as scary as you say? As the City Lord of Hell's 16th District, you can't even catch a Sector Lord. What's the use of keeping you?" Cloud Sky Exalted Being looked like he was in his 40s, but he had the aura of a king. Every word and action of his exuded the aura of a king. His voice was hoarse, and Wang Haotian lowered his head, not daring to speak. There were many experts in the hall, including 2 who were at the same level as Wang Haotian. They were both top-notch experts under Cloud Sky Exalted. At this moment, they all lowered their heads and waited for Exalted Celestial Cloud Sky to speak. "Vast Heaven, if you work together with the 2 guardians to break the reincarnation order, do you think you can break the 9 cauldrons heaven-seizing formation?" Cloud Sky High Holiness asked coldly. Wang Haotian shook his head, "Your subordinate is useless. In these 10,000 years, they have become stronger and stronger, and the number of sector lords has also increased. Not to mention the 3 of us working together, even with you." Wang Haotian wanted to say something but stopped. He didn't dare to tell the truth because he knew that even Yin Tian High Holiness couldn't enter the 9 prefectures. Cloud Sky High Holiness's face darkened. He knew that Wang Haotian didn't dare to tell him the truth. If Wang Haotian told him the truth, he wouldn't be able to do anything even if he went there personally. "My lord, you're friends with the 10 supreme ghosts of the 18th district. I wonder if you can ask them to help." Wang Haotian asked respectfully. Cloud Sky High Holiness shook his head and said, "That's impossible. Although I'm friends with the 10 supreme ghostly gods, I can't let them leave the 18th district without the permission of the Eternal Sovereign." Wang Haotian's face paled. Was he just going to wait for death? By the time the Eternal One awoke, if he didn't see Yi Qinghan's soul, his life would be gone. Cloud Sky High Holiness thought for a long time, but he still couldn't find a better solution. He could only scold angrily, "You useless piece of trash. How could you let someone get close to the riches and honor reincarnation pool and let two souls in? How dare you? When the Lord Eternal One awakens, he will punish you for neglecting your duties. This seat will also be implicated. My Lord, save me. That Yi Qinghan's strength is indeed terrifying. He can even tear down the boundary tower. Even if I were to personally guard it, I might not be able to beat him." Wang Haotian wanted to cry, but no tears came out. There was no way he could explain himself. Cloud Sky High Holiness waved his hand and reprimanded, "Don't explain it to me. This is a terrible thing. If we can't bring Yi Qinghan to justice, who wouldn't covet the riches and honor reincarnation pool in the future? That's why the Eternal One personally issued the order to capture Yi Qinghan. Kill one to warn the others." Obviously, Yi Qinghan had touched the Eternal One's cake and was now on the must-kill list of hell. Phew! Cloud Sky High Holiness leaned against the dragon throne and exhaled. He closed his eyes and thought about how to bypass the 9 divine cauldrons heaven-seizing array and kill Yi Qinghan directly. The hall was silent for a long time. It was so quiet that it made one's hair stand on end. Cloud Sky High Holiness suddenly opened his eyes and said, "It seems that this seat will have to make a trip to the eternal world." Wang Haotian was overjoyed when he heard that. If he asked the forces in the eternal world to help him, he would definitely succeed. Cloud Sky High Holiness was the reincarnation city lord of the 17th district of Hell, so the major forces in the eternal world would have to give him some face. "Thank you, High Holiness. This subordinate will be loyal to you even if I have to sacrifice my life." Wang Haotian bowed repeatedly. Cloud Sky High Holiness waved his hand and left. He was stronger than Wang Haotian, but he wasn't so strong that he couldn't fight back. Therefore, it took him more than 2 months to reach the Bridge of Helplessness from the 17th district. Strong winds blew across the Bridge of Helplessness, and a large number of souls were sent to the other side of the Yellow Springs. They were torn apart by the strong winds and turned into energy that drifted into hell. The sky was dusky, and countless reincarnation laws corresponded to the regions of each world. In the eternal world, the blessed Buddha temple occupied a large piece of land. Its territory was connected to hundreds of small entrances, which were similar to the 9 prefectures. However, the area it occupied in the eternal world was 100 times bigger than the hundreds of small entrances. The mountains and rivers were boundless, and it was incomparably vast. The lofty mountains and precipitous ridges looked exceptionally grand and majestic. This was the eternal world, which was unimaginably vast. It was divided by the eternal ones, and the entire world was under the control of the eternal overlords. In the blessed Buddha temple, there was a Buddha Lord, whose cultivation base was at the eternal realm. However, this kind of existence rarely appeared in the secular world. Only his disciples and grand-disciples preached. This Buddhist temple was incomparably powerful, and it had millions of Buddhas under its command. In the blessed Buddha temple's territory, all living beings had to worship the Buddha Lord. There were 18 temples under the blessed Buddha temple, and each temple was a colossus that controlled countless living beings. Every year, the living beings would have to offer countless treasures to the Buddhist temples, and the Buddhist temples would offer them to the blessed Buddha temple. Layer by layer, they exploited and controlled the blessed Buddha temple. In the eternal world, the sky was high, and the sea was deep. The sky was blue, and the might of the heavens was vast. It seemed that except for the eternal ones and birds, no other experts could fly. Humans and beasts could only walk. On a majestic mountain, there were temples all around, surrounding a massive palace temple. This was one of the 18 Buddhist temples. Wine. Wine. All living beings in the blessed Buddha temple's territory had an indescribable reverence for the wine. Wine. Using the order of reincarnation, Cloud Sky High Venerable appeared in front of the temple and cupped his fists. Cloud Sky of the 17th district is here to visit Wanjun Buddha. Please inform him. His voice rumbled and resounded for thousands of miles, surging into the temple. Wanjun Buddha was the abbot of this temple, and he controlled millions of living beings. At this moment, he didn't pretend to be arrogant. Instead, he quietly appeared outside the temple and came before Cloud Sky High Venerable. Amitabha. Taoist friend, your presence brings light to my humble temple. Please forgive me for not coming out to greet you. Wanjun Buddha was wearing golden gauze, and his Buddhist light was dense. He gave people a feeling that they didn't dare to blaspheme him. Even looking at him directly was a sin. Cloud Sky High Venerable smiled bitterly and shook his head. I'm here to ask for your help. Is it convenient for you? Wanjun Buddha was stunned. He didn't expect that the Samsara City Lord of Hell, who controlled the reincarnation of the 10,000 worlds, would take the initiative to ask for his help. This was a great favor, and the return in the future would be far beyond his imagination. He immediately bowed and replied, Taoist friend, we've known each other for so many years. Feel free to tell me if you have any difficulties. Cloud Sky High Venerable couldn't interfere with the life and death of the mortal world. Only when someone died and entered hell would he be the supreme being. However, Yi Qinghan was still alive, and his true body had appeared. Cloud Sky High Venerable couldn't do anything about it. He could only ask for help from the experts of the eternal world. In that case, I won't stand on ceremony. I'd like to ask Buddha to help me kill a sinner of the 9 worlds heaven and capture his soul for me. I'll reward you handsomely. Chapter 1652. Wanjun Buddha didn't expect Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable to ask him to kill an expert from a small region. Why was there a need to ask for help? Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable smiled bitterly and could only tell the truth. Wanjun Buddha felt a chill down his spine. Perhaps only Yi Qinghan dared to change the order of the riches and honor reincarnation pool. This person's strength is not to be underestimated. Buddha, don't underestimate him. Moreover, his influence in the land of sinners is not to be underestimated. I will leave this matter to you, Buddha. Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable reminded in a deep voice. Wanjun Buddha had a difficult expression and said helplessly, the ascension point of the land of sinners isn't within the territory of my blessed Buddha temple. It's in the land of chaos. That place is extremely dangerous. Tao friend, you should know that apart from those vicious bandits, not many orthodox forces are willing to go there. Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable was a smart person. He knew Wanjun Buddha wouldn't help him for free. He bowed and said, Buddha, if you have any difficulties, just tell me. As long as I can do it, I will not hesitate. Sai, this little monk shouldn't have asked you for help at this time. However, this is a crucial moment. Wanjun Buddha had a helpless expression and pretended to be embarrassed. Buddha, we have known each other for so many years. If you have any problems, just tell me. As long as I can do it, I will not decline. Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable's eyes twitched. He knew Wanjun Buddha wasn't a kind person. However, he had no choice but to let him take advantage of him. My inferior disciple is cultivating the Reincarnation Sutra. However, his aptitude is too low. It has been 30,000 years and he has only reached the mid-stage of the Realm Lord realm. He has only reached the 7th level of the Reincarnation Sutra. Now, he urgently needs the Reincarnation Tao fruit. However, you should know that the Reincarnation Tao fruit grows in the depths of hell. It is priceless. It blossoms once every 100,000 years and bears fruit after 100,000 years. Moreover, it grows on the cliffs of the Reincarnation Cliff. Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable's mouth twitched. His immortal chi was a little messy. He didn't expect this so-called Buddha to have such a heart. Since Buddha's beloved disciple needs it so much, I'll help you obtain the Reincarnation Tao fruit even if I have to risk my life. When the time comes, give me Yi Qinghan's soul in exchange. I won't go back on my word, Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable said in a deep voice. Then this little monk will thank you on behalf of my disciple. Give me 10 years. You can go to the temple and rest first. Although Wanjun Buddha had a benevolent look on his face, his smile sent chills down one's spine. Exalted Cloud Sky knew very well that those who could become the overlord of eternal world were definitely not easy to deal with. None of them would have feelings for each other. They would only rely on benefits and exploitation. Without this layer of relationship, they would be even more vicious than enemies. Blessed Buddha Temple claimed that all things were equal, but even in this small temple, there were distinctions between high and low. How could there be equality? Their ability to accumulate wealth was more ruthless than any other sect, but they were also very good at brainwashing, making their believers willingly contribute everything they had. Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable followed Wanjun Buddha into the main temple. The main hall was dazzling with gold and jade, looking extremely luxurious. There was no mention of Buddha saving the world. All the monks were wearing gold and silver, and they were wearing brocade robes. They had a strict hierarchy. When they saw Wanjun Buddha, they bowed and made way for him. Wanjun Buddha had a smile on his face. After making arrangements for Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable, he gathered the 18 monks and went straight to the lawless land. The lawless land was called the Land of Despair. It was surrounded by high mountains and steep ridges. A large number of wanted criminals and powerful bandits were hiding here. This area was as big as the entire land of the 9 provinces. It was rich in resources and minerals, but it was also very dangerous. Almost no righteous people would appear here. The bearded men were in groups of 3 to 5. They were rarely alone. In this place, even powerful bandits would die without a doubt if they were surrounded by people. People ate people, and no one would give face to each other. Wanjun Buddha appeared in the Land of Despair with 18 powerful monks. They strode forward and went straight to the depths of the Land of Despair. In the depths of the Land of Despair, Zhengtian Divine Lord and Supreme Overlord were trembling in fear. They had been here for 10,000 years, and they couldn't even fly. They had to travel on foot, and it was extremely dangerous. They didn't dare to make any noise, and they could be killed at any time. However, they were still realm lords, and they could still struggle at death's door. This Buddha is the abbot of Blessed Buddha Temple's Dark Spirit Temple, Wanjun Buddha. I'm now recruiting 10 of the strongest realm lords. As long as you help me complete a mission, I'll remove the warrant for your arrest. Wanjun Buddha put his palms together, and Buddha light soared into the sky. His voice was majestic, and it spread out in all directions of the Land of Despair. Hua! Roar! His voice broke the silence of the Land of Despair. Rumbling sounds came from inside the Land of Despair, and the roars were deafening. Swish! Shio shio shio! A moment later, dozens of figures rushed out from the distance, and more appeared. They were all famous wanted criminals who had committed heinous crimes. They were all experts, but they could only stay in the Land of Despair. They didn't dare to enter the flourishing world. They coldly stared at Wanjun Buddha, holding divine weapons or carrying them on their backs. Their auras were extraordinary. Wanjun Buddha, are you serious? A powerful middle-aged expert asked in a muffled voice. This person's surname was Wang, and he looked very ordinary. However, in the Land of Despair, there was no one who didn't know him. He was Wang Shahu, and together with Wang Yuhu, Wang Tsanghu, and Qing Tianhu, they were known as the 4 tigers of the Land of Despair. They had committed the heinous crime of massacring a city in Eternal World, offending a major power, and were wanted by Eternal World. Even now, they had yet to be executed. Everyone in the Land of Despair feared them, and very few dared to challenge their prestige. It's you guys? Wanjun Buddha frowned. The power these 4 had offended wasn't inferior to Blessed Buddha Temple. It would be very difficult to remove the warrant for their arrest. If you don't have the ability, then don't talk nonsense. Since I dared to massacre a city in Eternal Palace, I dare to exterminate you all. Wang Shahu coldly reprimanded. Wanjun Buddha's expression was indifferent, and he wasn't angry. This kind of bandit would start a fight without a word. Speaking rudely was already a light punishment. Although I can't convert you, as long as you are willing to help me complete a task, I can give you a satisfactory price, Wanjun Buddha said seriously. The 4 tigers of the land of despair sneered in disdain. They were wanted criminals. What use did they have for money? What they lacked were resources and divine medicines. I want divine medicines of Sector Lord level, world-breaking pills, or Buddha heart pills. 3 pills per person. This is the price. If you can afford it, then cooperate, Wang Shahu said seriously. World-breaking pills and Buddha heart pills were priceless. Not only did they require supreme materials, but they also required a professional alchemist. Moreover, the success rate was very low. Buddha heart pills could only be found in blessed Buddha temple. Even 1 pill was a supreme treasure, let alone 12 at once. Wanjun Buddha thought for a moment. With the help of these 4 experts, there was no need to find others. 12 world-breaking pills were worth it. Okay. Wanjun Buddha nodded and said, my target is a sector lord in the 9 worlds. I want his soul. You guys just have to cooperate with us. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.